clobberers, and welcome. That CLOBBERIN's Clubhouse number, whatever it is, because I don't have it in front of me. So, I actually do. Let me say, I'm sorry. I do. It's number 36
Nice.
CLOBBERIN's Clubhouse. Of course, it is Clobbering Times 377 on YouTube. 2 years ago, this is our 2-year anniversary on YouTube, by the way. 1,077 shows overall, but this will be 2 years ago today, I believe. Or is it yesterday? Somewhere roughly there anyway. Yesterday or today, who cares really? It has been 2 years here. So, welcome. Oh, and yes, I forgot that part.
And that.
You know, I always forget the we. Good to see you,
The
my
royal
friends.
we.
The royal we, indeed. Wow.
Which is much better than the royal wee wee.
Indeed. I've always said that. I've always maintained that. So I will thank my wonderful, beautiful first officer for being here with me tonight. Hello there. Welcome.
Hey, boss. I love you.
Love you. Great to see you. And our great chief engineer, Mark. Thank you for being here, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
Thank you for having me. Yep. Looking forward to this. Thursday's always awesome here. So
indeed.
Look forward to that. Yeah.
Some brief show notes, and we'll do our hellos and just hang out at the clubhouse with all of our wonderful friends tonight. Appreciate you all being here tonight. Let's see here. We got some fun stuff for you, of course. A week from tonight, at this very time. Well, maybe a little bit later because it's Eastern time. I'm so confused. I don't know. A week from tonight.
Damn time zones.
I am honored to be a part of Iconicon 2, Part 2, not Electric Boogaloo either. My wonderful retro blasting friends, Michael and Melinda, of course, are enjoying their 10th anniversary on YouTube. And this will be their second annual Iconicon virtual geek convention of basically 70s, 80s, 90s geekness in terms of toys and cartoons and other forms of pop culture. I'm going to, in a little bit, I'll put in a link to their Iconicon website that has it. You got to take a look at that schedule. They got some amazing, as they did last year, they have some amazing panels, which are basically live streams on multiple channels throughout the course of, I believe, the 29th, which would be Wednesday, all the way through that Sunday of that week. And again, it's coming up next week. And I'm honored to be hosting a panel about toy comics. That is, of course, comic books based upon toys and not the other way around. And joined by the great Michael French, the master of retro blasting, Endless Bullets podcast, Matt Swafford, and Chasing 80s Toys own Jeff Barker. And again, I cannot wait to see them and hang out with them. Saturday Night Star Trek is back on track. We have 3 episodes reviewed this coming Saturday night. Same Trek Chime, same Clobby channel. And getting ready.
Yeah.
Because the following week is going to be the big say goodbye to Star Trek The Next Generation party, where we will review the last episode, All Good Things, and then have our big end of the series review celebration. We finally made it to the end at that point. We will talk about the seasons, the best, the worst, all that good stuff. We might even have our crew join us to have a little, little wrap party for that. And then it'll be the next 2 weeks will be the TNG movies. And after that, Deep Space Nine. And
Boss man, I need to interrupt. We have some requests coming in from the chat. We have the Howard Cosell request. So as you move through your pre-show routine, everyone would like you to switch to Howard Cosell, please.
All right. If that's the way you want it, that's the way you will have it. I am sorry. It's your fault if I'm no good at this, but I try anyway. Here we are. Scuba Pete with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. You are too kind, my friend. Cheers to 2 years. You, sir, are a gentleman and a scholar, or a scholarly gentleman, whichever you prefer. I do not tend to shame you. All right. Monday night, we have a special. Not just me sitting around trying to think of crap to say about comics. It'll be comics related. It'll be movie related. Monday night, we are going to count down myself and the great Mark D with a C, and maybe even Tom with Midnight's Edge, who is possibly going to be there. We don't know, but we hope. the top 25, the bottom 25 worst comic book movies of all time. It's going to be The Thriller, but not in Manila. And I want to say thank you again to the great Eric K for the $2 super chat. 2 years down the drain, right? And 20 more to go. Oh, I'm not going to live that long. Dude, what's wrong with you? But thank you so much to the great Bronze Wrencher. He is truly a great gentleman whom we love and respect here at CLOBBERIN Times. Now, oh my God, I can't stop. I'll be talking like this the rest of the night. I am so sorry. I know.
What happens if you get stuck in Cosell mode? Did you have a switch like Data?
I don't know.
I know where the switch is. I know where it is.
As long as you, Mark, can talk like Dandy Dunn and finally sing to me, turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Turn out the lights, the party's over, and tomorrow starts the same thing again. Max Redstone has a $2.22 super chat. I get it. It's a 2 and it's 2 years. Amazing. And he says, or I could say it like this, two. I'm not saying all those twos.
You're going to spit all over your mic.
Nah, I don't do that.
Two. Oh, we lost
Thank
Mark.
you for that.
Mark, come back.
Oh, my goodness. Mark D with a C has crashed. Oh, my goodness. He's going down. And down goes Mark C. And down goes Mark C. Oh, my goodness, the humanity. I'm so sorry, everybody. You asked for it. Who asked for that?
And ye shall receive.
I didn't see anyone ask for that. Were you just kidding that someone asked for that?
No, actually, Larry, Hungry Boy, and I think one other person.
Well, we'll see if Mark C is still alive. We will say our hellos, and we'll let Howard do it. How about that? Since it is a special occasion. Okay. First up is, of course, the aforementioned Bronze Wrencher himself, the great Eric K. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Love you.
We appreciate you, buddy. Well, I keep forgetting and I keep slipping back into being me. I'm sorry. Paula Mays Minion and
the pepperoni, the pupster, the truck dog, the official dog of Saturday Night Star Trek.
It's always wonderful to see you here, Paula May. And of course, next is the Phantom Outsider. What if Eric K. Not Eric K. Sorry. What if Howard K. What if Howard Cosell sang to him? It would be something like this. Oh yeah.
Ooh,
there we go. He's back.
The last thing I heard was two.
Welcome back.
And then I'm like,
All
wait,
right.
The show got zapped. What happened?
No, you got zapped. You zapped yourself, I guess.
That's right. You're supposed to say, hello, Mr. Carter.
Anyway, we want to say hello to the great Phantom Outsider. He's been with us for a good long time. Phantom Outsider was a man. He was a big man. But with an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain, I don't know because I've never actually seen him. J-Man is here, the extraordinary J-Man. I'm going to make you all sorry that you made me do this voice. I know it. Maddie's daddy is here tonight. The great Steve Mitchum. He is truly an extraordinary athletic powerhouse. He is Thor in Vegas. He is worthy.
He is.
The great Kal-El 48. He is super. He is Steven. He is from the planet Krypton. And he has fought Muhammad Ali.
He has.
With kryptonite over the cell and still held his own.
Rumble in the jungle.
The lovely Wendy Webb, trauma warrior extraordinaire. It is absolutely thrilling to see you here tonight, my dear. You look ravishing.
Nice to see.
Hungry, but not like a hippo. Yes, a.k.a. Hungry Boy. He is truly one of the all-time greats in this sport. Snail Messiah. That means he is the god of all snails. They worship him because he is worthy of their worship. The lovely Sherry, who I have to put the picture up because I'm a toxic male and I like looking at pretty girls.
Hello,
lovely
gorgeous
Sherry. Lovely girl, gorgeous young lady. Thank you. Max Redstone. His stones are red, and his maxes are maximum. I don't know what that means.
Maximum Redstone is in the house.
Indeed, it says, could not be reached for further comment, but he is there nonetheless and has been reached for a hello and a shout out. It is good to see you. And he is Scuba Pete. Does that mean he actually...
Scuba Pete!
Does he swim? Oh, and his, of course, wonderful, lovely wife.
Yes. Leslie.
I've often wondered if he actually has scuba equipment.
He
I don't
does.
mean that equipment, by the way. I'm not trying to be personal.
No, he does actual, like, he's an actual scuba guy. So I believe not only does he give instructions for scuba and trains people, but I believe he takes care of an ocean center. So yeah, or it could be a zoo. I'm not sure, and I have not been given permission to reveal his private details. But the pictures that he has made public, I can tell you those are from public pictures. So he's allowed people to know that about him. But he's for real. He's not just dreaming that he knows scuba. He's an actual, like, he's a for real scuba guy.
We lost Mark again.
Bye, Mark.
What the hell, dude?
Everybody give the Queen's wave to Mark. Bye.
Also with us tonight, and Mark will be back eventually, I guess. The great Gwagnar. Gwagnar, good to see you, buddy.
Gwagnar.
Thank you for being here. Let's see here. We're going to get to these hellos, I promise, folks. Hang on a second. He's telling me something. Through another. He has to reboot his. It keeps crashing. He's rebooting. He will be back. ASAP.
Don't eject the warp core. Don't eject the warp core.
Let's see here. Where were we? Wagnar's here. It's good to see you, Gwagnar. Ezra Goldstein. Welcome, my friend. And the great Michael Beacom. Hello there.
And Cassandra Beacom.
And hello, Cassandra. Hello there. Hello. Greetings. Let's see here. Oh my. Hang on. Oh, this thing keeps jumping on me. If it's all the same to you folks, I'm going to let that idiot Clobby handle these because I don't. The chat keeps jumping on me. Here we go. All right. Now I think. Okay. Howard's. You all know Howard. He's just lazy. He doesn't want to do this, so I'll handle it for him.
Good night, Howard.
Good night, Howard. You jackass. Larry. He said no notification. I'm sorry, Larry.
A man so sweet and such a nice gentleman that you have to say his name twice. Larry!
Indeed. And I say it more than that. Larry. Good to see you. I appreciate you being here, Larry. The great master of wrenching Canadian, Chris Persia. What's up, bro?
Smooches for your whole face.
It is good to see you, my friend. Let's see.
Oh, Dadman Clan walked through the door, boss.
I'm moving my chat slowly, and it keeps.
Oh, and Michael Beacom says Cass isn't feeling well. Oh my goodness, that's not good. No. She's gone to bed early. Michael Beacom, please tell Cass that we're all thinking about her, and we all send our love. And I hope you give her some iced tea and maybe some chicken soup. Cassandra, I hope you're feeling better, sweetheart. Mwah, mwah. Sending you a warm hug.
Feel better indeed, Cassandra. Let's see here. Hang on, folks. I got to go slow with this chatter. It jumps on me. Make sure we got the great Dad Man. As you said, Dad Man's here. Good to see you, buddy.
Dad Man Clan!
Man, this thing goes slow. I mean, I'm trying to keep it from jumping up. Almost there, folks. I think that's about everybody. Hope I didn't miss anyone. If I did, please shout out. And, of course, we'll acknowledge anyone who shows up. And Mark will be back as soon as possible. So, what's going on with you, my friends? I hope you're all having a wonderful week. You're almost to the end of it. You've almost survived another week. I don't know about you, but it's over 100 damn degrees every day here. So, right at it. So,
it's been raining for like 2 weeks here. I'm done with the rain. I feel like I live in the Shire. I'm waiting for Frodo Baggins to come over the hill.
I wish we could trade. The Comic Relief Crusader. What's up, my friend?
Hello.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
love Tiger Balm, Michael Beacom. That
What do
is,
you?
it is very comforting, isn't it? Well, that's very nice.
Oh,
When I
there you
call
go.
it myself, but definitely Michael Beacom, you're so wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Way to go. Uh, yeah, you guys are sweltering, and I needed to buy a new air con. Yeah, I have garbage air conditions. It makes it worse down here in the tropics. I live about almost as south as you can get in the states. Um, the only way to be more south is to be in like the lower part of Florida, but other than that, we're way down at the bottom.
Florida.
Yeah, and it's worse down here in the swamps of Louisiana. So anyway, folks. Well, we got all kind of. As soon as Mark gets back, we got some geeking stuff to go on. Oh, there's a dad man.
Ooh.
And says with a $4.99 super chat, thank you so much. You're too kind, buddy. I appreciate that. He says, just want to give you some tangible support and just say how great you two are. Well, it's all her. That's none of me.
Feelings mutual, Dad
included
man.
Mark, but he got lost somewhere. Having a great show. Well, thank you so much.
You.
Mark will be back. He's having a little bit of a computer issue, but if anyone
tell everyone we said hello, Dad man.
And Wendy's also in South Texas, so you're not too far from me there. And yes, it is terribly hot. It absolutely ridiculously so indeed. Wendy, I hear you. I hears you. Max Russell says we are the Times clobbering crew, clobbering on down, clobbering for you. We're so bad. We know we're jive. It's worse than Trek after 2005. You are the man. Thank you so much. You were too kind, Max Redstone. A great piece of music for the second anniversary on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
The Clobbering Times second anniversary on YouTube. Clobbering Times. I think I'll get used to calling it Clobbering Times. I'm sort of used to it, but it took a while to get used to that, by the way, because it was Clobbering Time forever.
Mm-hmm.
But on the old Blog Talk Radio, oh my goodness. I'll never forget that last show I did over there, number 700 on Blog Talk Radio. I had a bunch of friends show up and over there and stuff, and I had a big send off, and it was pretty cool. The only thing I miss about Blog Talk Radio, there were a few friends over there, of course. I missed it. It was easier for Flash to join me. Flash, and I miss Flash big time. He'll come back when he can, sometimes, but I haven't had him there in a while, and I really miss the great. I should have told him about tonight. I forgot to because I think he's doing something. I'll text at him and see if he wants to show up, but not tonight, but next week or something. But I miss Flash big time. Like my cohort are often run shotgun with me on most of the shows I did over there. I miss him, and I miss my soundboard that you can't have over here.
Yeah.
From the old BTR, that I kind of miss. It was a nothing place. But it was our little nothing place,
Well, I wouldn't say it was in the nothing place.
Our quaint little corner, and we liked it.
Well,
Mazarus, hey,
Mazarus. I would beg to differ there. I think that you are such a talented and such a wonderful person, and I love the spaces that you create online for people to walk in the room and to discuss things. And discuss things on many levels in such a respected way, respective way, respectable way. I love it. I think it's really great that you're capable of facilitating that type of conversation with all different sorts of people from all walks of life, and I love you for it. So if that's quaint, well, I don't know. I guess it shouldn't be quaint. I think that should be wildly popular. I think your style of making sure everybody respects one another so that everyone can talk about things like adults. I think that should spread like wildfire.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about
welcome
that.
Welcome back.
Can you
hear me? Welcome.
I rebooted. Who let Bortus on my computer?
Listen, I told you not to eject the warp core. You didn't listen.
Yeah. So I had to switch to Firefox.
Have you been watching Mocklin porn or something?
I hope not.
Like Bortus?
Yeah. Well, you almost took down the Orville. So, But so I don't know why, but Chrome was only crashing on your channel, Clobbering Time. So
Sorry.
I was playing other channel. Like I'm like, let me play other channels because I usually what I do, I pop the chat out, in a sidebar so I can chat and then have StreamYard open in another one because I prefer streaming.
Chrome works fine.
Yeah, but it was weird. It was. I mean, I know I got to reboot again, but that was very weird.
Yeah, that
very
is
weird.
I love it when you do that.
Thank you, Max Redstone. We're not here. We're not here to make a kerfluffle. We're just here to do the clobbering shuffle. I didn't like the Super Bowl shuffle. It aggravated me when it came out. Because the Bears did the Super Bowl shuffle, I rooted for the Patriots in that Super Bowl. And that was, of course, they didn't have a they got their butts kicked 45-10, but I still rooted for them. So there we go. So what do we got going on tonight? What do you think we should start with first? Should we just go ahead and review the Orville and get that out of the way?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then just goof off for the rest of the night? We'll do a tripwire after that or whatever. So, all right, I'm going to take a look at our poll, but I'm not going to. Well, let's start. Yeah, let me start with I'll tell her. So far, our poll is at, come on. All right. Is that only votes we've got for it? Maybe not everyone's seen it yet. Doesn't look like a lot of votes so far.
Maybe people want to talk about
16
it first.
votes, yep.
50, okay, well, maybe I just that window slowed down.
It's going up a little bit.
Hopefully not your computer too.
Look at this. Goof off. Wee.
Yeah. So okay, well we can review the Orville, I suppose, if that works for you all.
Yes.
The episode of question was entitled Gently Falling Rain.
Yes.
Episode 4 of Season 3. It is, of course, the Orville New Horizons. Now, number one, ladies, can always go first around here.
Well, I guess I'm going to start by saying that tonight, as we discuss the Orville, I want you to know that I'm not going to be discussing it like I normally talk about things. I'm not going to be discussing this in a way that the audience is used to, and that is me injecting my opinion into things as I discuss it. Tonight, I'm going to put on my academic hat. And so tonight, I'm going to discuss the episode the way that I would in a social sciences class, in a writing class, in an academic context. And there's a reason why I'm going to be doing that. But I want you to have as unbiased a perspective from a purely academic view of what I watched. And through that, I would like you at home to engage in the Socratic dialectic. And that means that you start asking a whole bunch of different questions about what is true, what are facts, what's objectively true, what's opinion, and you can form your own thoughts about this episode. So tonight, I'm wearing my academic scholarly hat, and I will bring those talents to bear to discuss some of the themes that are in. Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Now, I'm just going to say, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to warn everybody. Look, since those who have not seen it yet, when this Chiron is running, we're in spoiler territory. And then when it's off, like if you turn your sound off, whatever, and you want to come back, if you haven't seen it yet, when this is off, you're safe. You're safe. Okay. Number one, I just wanted to put that out there real quick.
Oh, Maddie Staddy says he doesn't know anything about the Orville, so he's going to get Maddie ready for bed. Yeah. Oh no, buddy. He's getting ready. He's getting Maddie ready for tomorrow. She's coming tomorrow. Okay.
Oh, good to see you there, bro. Thanks for being here.
Yep, catch you later, hopefully.
We'll try to always make it fair as quick as we can, everybody. So, but as long as this is up, if you don't want to be spoilered, then you'll know that as soon as this is off,
yes,
you're safe.
Okay. Hungry Boy is muted.
Okay. The reason why I did that because I thought people would start tuning out while you're saying that. I want to make sure that
Yes. Well, no, I'm very, very happy that you interrupted me. Okay. So, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and do all 4 pages of my notes here because Mark has some notes, so I thought we could jam off one another. But before we get started, with that scholarly hat on, as though we're sitting in a film studies class, as though we're sitting in a philosophy class, or we're sitting in a writing class, I want you to think about the following things that are present in this episode. And this episode is really, really, really densely packed with it. But here are some themes that we would recognize and identify in academia while watching this episode. And so I'll start with that list, and then I'm going to play ping pong with the guys. Okay? So fundamentalism and orthodoxy versus atheism. We have populism versus socialism. We have abortion versus pro-life. We have xenophobia and isolationism. We have interracial marriage and interracial relationships. We have interracial children caught in a world of prejudice. Fathers abandoning their children as though it's for the best. We have Orange Man Bad, and then I have a slash in front of that says social science fiction or social science commentary. Then we have another theme here: military conflict and interstellar war, foreign affairs, the politics of the international peace process, capitalism, assassination and public execution, nostalgia, colonialism, anti-environmentalism, propaganda and memes, fixed elections, dark versus light, and good versus evil. So as we go through this discussion this evening, you're going to hear me pointing out when we encounter these themes. And some of you might be reeling right now, saying to yourself, wow, that's like about 30 themes in a single episode, a 1-hour episode of television. That's a lot of ground to cover.
It is a lot.
And you're right, it is. And so I'm going to discuss that. But once again, I want you all to know that I'm going to do this in a completely void of partisanship, because I just want you to objectively identify the discussions and themes at work in this episode. So you want to do this scene by scene and go through it quickly, Mark?
However you want to do it.
Yeah, however you want.
Yep. Coffee Spock. Hey there, welcome. Just want to say hello to you real quick. Good to see you, my friend.
Well, let's get into it. Okay, so you have that Tayela, the Krill lady, and this is the opening sequence with a loaded speech, and it's chock full of polarizing rhetoric in matter and manner. And so when we open up on this scene, what we're going to be watching Seth and the other writers discussing in the themes of this show, and this is just the opening scene, we cover populism, xenophobia, colonialism, fundamentalism, and totalitarian architecture. Now, totalitarian architecture is actually the physical planning and development cities do in order to promote free speech or to quell free speech and a freedom to assemble. So here we're seeing totalitarian architecture, fundamentalism, colonialism, xenophobia, and populism in this opening scene. So now I'll throw it over to Mark. Mark, what did you think of this opening scene?
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic synopsis. I thought all those things, and there was a lot to unpack in this episode, and all those things are going on. And if you look at it politically, it might get you angry depending on which side of the fence you're on. But right now, it's just introducing what this cruel society is like, and these two factions in this society. So you learn that there's a more moderate faction that wants to maybe be more pragmatist or is not so isolationist and wants to have this treaty signed so they can fight the Kalon, because without this union with the planetary union, there's a fear that they could lose the war. And Talea is more of a fundamentalist, someone who doesn't want any outsiders, and wants to rely on Avis. They're very religious and doesn't want to have anything to do with outsiders. And I think later in the episode, she says, we've developed new weapons and we don't need you right now. and Avis will see
Well,
us
let's
through
wait
this
until we get to
basically.
that. But just
Yeah.
this scene, what did you
Oh,
think?
it reminded me of some famous films I've seen in the 40s leading up to World War II. I don't know if I can say the name even, but
No, I know what
famous.
you mean, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was meant to be that way.
there was a famous film that if you're a history buff, some of you might have seen. And unfortunately, I don't want to say the name of it, but it just.
And I just want to
Yeah.
interrupt Mark for a second here to say that it's not that Mark would be saying something wrong. So in a university environment and in any other discourse environment where there were intellectuals and academics, Mark would be free to say what he was going to say because he was merely going to mention an exemplar. So there's nothing nefarious or pernicious in what he's presenting. It's the fact that if Mark were to say something like that, the algorithm which polices this particular medium, this YouTube thing we're using, would censor him. So censor him, I mean. So let's keep that in mind. It's not that Mark is some shady character. It's that he is trying to make sure that we can maintain the freedom of speech without being censored by that algorithm. I just wanted folks to know that. Mark, please continue.
Oh, thank you, Raquel. Yeah, so there is a famous movie that I think, as I said, World War II people would probably be able to reference that this immediately evoked in me, and we watched that movie in in history class in high school and dissected it, in an academic setting, which is which is a way to do it. I'm against censorship and for watching things as an important history lesson. That's and I think that's what the Orville is trying to do here. So it's a great setup, and it's really there's nothing too cut and dry. You've got the Planetary Union wants to make a deal to fight the Kalon, and you've got the two factions on Krill that are competing, and there's an election coming up, and you're not sure who's going to win that election, and the Planetary Union is hoping to make peace and to defeat the Kalon, and what I did like about this too, this is a character who's been on a number of Orville episodes, Talea, and has a relationship with Mercer. And so there's a past history. So they're pulling in past characters again, which is tying in. So, some people like more of the anthology stories, which I kind of lean to. But once in a while, bringing back a past character, I think is okay, too.
Bossman, what did you think of this opening scene? This flush of this totalitarian architecture, this severe architecture, the populism, the xenophobia, the colonialism, and this sort of violent fundamentalism.
A less subtle director and producer, and I'm talking when I talk. Even if he didn't direct the episode, I'm talking about Seth MacFarlane. Nothing happens without Seth MacFarlane. A less subtle individual than Seth MacFarlane. A less subtle creator, all that green background, most of it would be orange. See what I'm saying? Orange lights. This is a very intelligent gentleman who has decided to start making political statements, except he is doing it subtly, unlike if this were again STD or somebody like that, Klutzman, it would not be. It would be you would see "Make Krill Great Again" signs and all this other kind of stuff. He's still doing it. And so this scene automatically rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, okay, I think I know what you're doing. But also, as someone who kind of liked this character, I'm also hello, pop culture curator, welcome. So also someone kind of liked this character. I kind of hoped she would. Well, this is a very jarring scene to see the first time we see her again, to see her like this, doing this. I found it personally, I don't buy. I found it a little bit unbelievable, a little bit not credible for the story that we've been seeing. I don't buy into it, and I don't like the direction. And of course, this will work down the line when we talk later. So, just dealing with the scene right now, I was not comfortable, and I was it was already starting me on the wrong foot. That I'm going, I don't know if I like where we're going here. Although I was trying to keep an open mind at this point.
Okay, let's move on to the next scene. The Annie scene. So we happen upon this Annie scene. And so in my notes, all I have is why with a gigantic question mark. And then I say 400 years in the future, how we're showcasing our culture to an alien race would be Annie or Oklahoma. I felt that this was. I didn't think that it was fitting. Mark, what did you think
Yeah,
of that?
let me skip to the to that. Now, I'm going to make a joke here. Come on, Annie's one of the all-time great musicals. Let's
Okay.
not. No. I think it's just a trope that current writers, they in Star Trek, once in a while they'll mention fictional things that happen in the future, but they always throw in some Earth, famous Earth events, so the audience has a frame of reference. So I think
I also
this
found
was
that it was an opportunity to show in a Broadway musical just how multicultural and diverse Earth is at this point. But other than that, I sort of felt like, do you really want to be showing an alien race, Annie?
I know why they did it though.
It was
Well, go ahead,
a
sorry.
joke. Oh, sorry, I was just gonna
No.
say to me it was Seth loves musical and music, and I think
Yeah,
he
but
did it as a joke. Yep.
less cynical me would say that because and if we're talking about first or second season, I would. But if you remember, very shortly after this is a conversation where this is used to
Yeah.
make some propaganda statements.
There is, because here we have this orphan. And so we sort of feel like there may be a tie in to this and the rhetoric that we will encounter later. So if you were to partake in this particular thing that we're going to discuss later, that you would, in essence, be getting rid of someone as cute as Annie. But of course, you don't know this at this point. You only learn that later when your brain begins to process what you've watched. So I'm going to give the captain here, I'm going to give him an A+, because wow. If we were talking film studies and we were busting this apart right now, I totally concur with the boss's thoughts about that being a tie-in later. So Captain, gold star. A+.
I would like to say I was happy to see Bruce Boxleitner just for the hell of it, even though we can't see him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's the next scene. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and go to
Yes.
the next scene, just so we can do this quickly, guys. So the conference scene, when we go to the conference scene, we're going to see themes of socialism versus capitalism. We're going to see materialism versus idealism.
And that
We're
wasn't
going to
very
see
subtle.
atheism versus fundamentalism. We're going to see secular society versus theocracy. And theocracy specifically, not just religion, but secular society versus theocracy. And then underneath here, I've got Bruce Boxleitner is the union president, and we have a lot of orange man politics at the table. I'm going to keep in my order. I'm going to throw it over to Mark. Mark, what did you think of this conference scene, dude?
Well, yeah, they're setting up the two differences between the civilizations here, planets. The Planetary Union is basically, aka Star Trek, where they said, as the quotes on here, we advanced beyond the need to buy and sell things, and then the world became a more stable place. Mm-hmm. And the merchant class, they're saying they have a merchant class. They're maybe a little bit more like the Ferengi. And they're saying they've been stable for thousands of years. So they're kind of competing ideologies there, and they're saying what you guys lack is religion. We have religion, and you don't. We have divine guidance. So it's another contrast of culture. So they're basically meeting here just for this treaty, just for the they don't have a lot in common at this point, other than the common enemy between them. And it was great dialogue here. In terms of the conflict you could see at the table, and even within the Krill, you can see the conflict between their own delegation, and the Chancellor seems to be the most moderate or moderating force, and he's got a line coming up too where he says, basically we when we have an existential threat, we can't risk losing here. We've got to have this union. Otherwise, we could lose. So he basically says that they're doing. That's why they're doing this too. So yeah, here's the line: our combined forces will ensure success. When the threat is existential, one can not afford a margin for error. So he's very, very practical too, but he's paying the price for it at home. But I thought it was a fascinating discussion at the table here, and it foreshadows some things coming coming
Yeah,
down the line.
and that's a beautiful synopsis of the in story dialogue and the in story dynamic that's occurring. But how about this suppressed narrative? How about this socialism versus capitalism, this materialism versus idealism, this atheism versus fundamentalism, this secular society versus theocracy? It's pretty heavy-handed here, and that's that suppressed narrative. And I'm not saying that from a partisan viewpoint. I'm saying that this would be what the author is trying to convey to the audience, using this as a vehicle to express those thoughts and those feelings. And what do you think of that, Clobby? What did you think of this scene?
Again, a lot of the dialogue was just didn't feel like. I mean, they did this a little bit in the previous seasons as well. So I don't mind conversations about that kind of stuff. At least in this case, I found it to be at least relatively even-handed. Both sides were debating, they were discussing something, they were giving views. I've always had my criticisms, even of real Star Trek, where they would say stuff like, "We've eliminated money," all this other kind of stuff. Didn't you see other episodes where they would buy things? Or they would talk about money, or they would talk about, there's some sort of commerce that exists. But then there have been episodes of the Orville where they've said, we don't have anything like that at all. We trade on reputation and accomplishments, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. Picard said things like, we don't have possessions anymore, but he has all kinds of possessions. So the whole possession thing, they're never very clear in real Trek. Here, they should probably be more nebulous about it. But right here, they're having a kind of a clear, concise discussion about it. But I never mind when it's a discussion from both sides.
How beautifully put. I think that it's too overt here.
It is too overt,
although
though.
I said that I was gonna promise not to inject my own criticism, I do have to take your side on this one here, and then I'm going to stop doing it. But only because of how beautiful your choice in diction. I absolutely love what you just said. It is so intelligent and so perfect. And that is that if we are to remain on this materialism versus idealism and this socialism versus capitalism, we must remain, and the glorious word you use that I love, nebulous. Allow it to be nebulous so that it's gossamer, and it's a glorious, lightly colored phantom. Because once you start to massage it in your mind, you start to think to yourself, well, could I live without any possessions? And how rational is that to think that one could live without any possessions at all? These are people who would use a replicator, so they wouldn't even own a cup. So I love your comments, Claudia. Love them.
Well, I always talk about how it's better not to go too far into it if you want to just suspend enough disbelief to enjoy Star Trek. So I always thought they and original Trek didn't do it that much, and then the TNG did it a little bit, and then Deep Space Nine once in a while bought into it. But again, people were buying things. They would go to restaurants. They would go to bars. They had clearly had commerce. So there were times I would be like, all right, okay, I can understand that in a society that has replicators, it would change the makeup somewhat of society, and you would eliminate a lot of things like poverty and all these other things. That's fantastic. It's Gene Roddenberry, altruism at its finest, and I'm fine with it. But keep it to a minimum in the show, because you got it when you have to start digging into the logic and deep it down into it. You get into a place that you don't really need to go to enjoy a great science fiction show. And I'd rather not go too far into it. This conversation was definitely a bit heavy-handed.
It wasn't nebulous enough.
It was not nebulous enough, but they were at least debating something. At least both sides.
But I do love your comment, because there are people out there who just think at a different level or in a different way, and I'm not being disparaging towards anyone, but you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, imagine living in a society where if there were an EMP, you wouldn't even have a cup to drink out of. That's pretty scary. So this whole idea of having absolutely no possessions and relying on this socialist society. And once again, I'm not making a partisan statement here. I'm merely saying that a person, even who is not biased, is not partisan at all, would be groping around, massaging these ideas, sort of saying, how would this work? And I don't think that aids storytelling, does it, Mark?
No, it doesn't. No, I agree. And, I like when they have both sides, and I agree with what Mike is saying too about, how would society work if you didn't have money? You've got to have some kind of incentive.
At all. Yeah.
Any commerce, you've got to have some kind of incentive. On a lighter note, I mean, I guess I could print, 100 copies of the Micronauts or FF number 1. I mean, right. I guess all my comic books and stuff would be devalued. I mean, I'm working on 3D printing this Orville. I could just, boom. So yeah, there's a lot of implications. That's, for another time, but that raises all those points. I agree with you. I never did like that where they said there were no rewards for work, because as we know, human nature.
Right. That's why you kind of
you need a motivation.
Stories. Stay away from that one aspect too much. Don't go into it as much.
You can say we eliminated poverty and hunger, and we have a great society.
Every time they go into it, they're preaching.
Yeah, and the thing is that what it does is it invites the inevitable rhetoric, that, and once again, I'm not being partisan. I'm just discussing ideas surrounding this. This whole idea of, well, socialism is wonderful, except for the fact that every time we've tried socialism, it's been a colossal failure. So I think what it does is it invites that weak rhetoric where people attack one another. And so, yeah, I just absolutely love your diction, your word choice, your vocabulary is excellent on this one, Clobby.
Thank you.
Keep it nebulous. Gene Roddenberry was a one-off like Mozart. And if he wanted to do that and write in that style, and he allowed us to suspend our belief, and we were immersed in his storytelling, and it never bothered us because he didn't flesh it out too much, maybe it's not a good idea if you go ahead and try doing that yourself, because it's not working.
Right. See, that's why we can let slide a joke in Star Trek 4 when she says, "Don't tell me they don't use money in the 23rd century." Well, we don't. You can let it slide because it's a joke and it's not really the whole focus of the episode, or it's not a huge issue.
That's right.
And you just let it go. Again, whatever, it slides, it's fine. I mean, I don't know if I buy into it, but all right, but whatever. Because that also goes back to, Scotty, you've just earned your pay for the week. What does that mean? Yeah, so stuff like that. Hello there, Retro Blasting. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Hey, Retro.
Hey, Retro Blasting.
And yes, all of the, just so you know, that was nowhere near the most heavy-handed political thing in this episode.
No,
so
more is coming. Let's move on to the saloon scene, as long as you guys want to. First of all, we have some mustache talk. And then Kelly may be an alcoholic. We see this storyline building with the storyline team. They're always talking about her wine consumption. And now she's drinking a full glass of whiskey, which is, 6 to 8 ounces. And then she pours another, and there's talk of it at the table. This would likely kill someone in real life. Certainly college kids who don't know that you can't drink 8 drinks in a single gulp, or it will likely kill you. And, look at the guitar player from Def Leppard. You can't just go around drinking a full cup of alcohol. So I think what they're going to do is I'm predicting, I'm not a great prognosticator, but I sort of, as an author and as an academic, I'm starting to get the feeling that we're going to build a storyline where Kelly has a fall and she has to get help for her alcohol problem because it's being addressed too much.
But you're probably right.
And there's no synthahol in this future either, right?
I have I have storytelling qualms that I'll address after we get through this breakdown.
Okay, and then I just had one more comment for this scene. John and Tal may have a romance, so we've got some romance brewing, folks. And now I'm going to throw it over to Mark. Mark, tell me what you thought of the saloon scene.
Yeah, I think it was just a fun setup scene where, hey, let's put the crew into. I guess this is their version of the holodeck.
Yeah, the
simulator. And then, this was the interesting scene here where you see that there might, John might have something. Of course, he's the consummate ladies' man. I guess Spiky alien girl is gone now. So,
yeah,
but that could be a cute. cute subplot, and I think it's just a fun. They're trying to humanize the crew for us, and before we get into everything that's going to be really deep in this episode, they're just giving us a little bit of that Orville humor, and of course, Isaac is going to come through the door now to save. Save him from the next line here. Are you trying to tell me something? And of course, Isaac comes through dressed up as Wild Wild West, and Charlie's not too happy about that.
Mark, is that is the telltale sign of moving from episodic storytelling to serialized storytelling.
Yeah, which I have a problem with.
Yeah. I love you and I want to celebrate with you, and I definitely don't like cutting you off because it's rude. But I just, before that thought leaves me, because we talk very densely here, and we have lots of things that we want to fit into this time slot. That's the one thing that I found troubling, is that's indicative. That's a red flag. That's somebody, holding up the flag and saying, "Oh, here we go. Let's serialize some aspects of this." And of course, we all are quite desperate to just have something episodic again, right? Anyway.
Oh yeah, because no, that's okay. Yeah, and I love episodic television. And back in the old days, a character would meet a girl or a guy, and their eyes would flash, and they'd have an instant romance within 5 minutes. So yeah, that is signaling more of a continued episodic format, which or serialized format, which. I hope the Orville doesn't stay in that track, but they're telling the story now with the Kalon, so that's tied together. But I like having those individual stories. So yeah, that could be interesting to see where this goes, and is it reverting to that serialized format. But I did think this scene was just a fun little quick break from what was happening. Although interesting to see Charlie still is not changed her mind about Isaac. So. And there we got classic Isaac with the mustache. So
yeah, we have a Stephen Hawking in the room, right? A sort of AI may hurt us thing, which doesn't bother me. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. But and then Isaac's trying to. Is he becoming more human? Is he trying to make friends? Is there a little glimmer there of what we saw in the first episode coming through here now too? So as we there's a difference between a character evolving as the story goes versus strict linear storytelling where we've got to watch one episode to catch the next. So we'll see.
And it's sort of accumulating in that area, because of course, throughout this entire episode, we seem to be talking about people instead of ideas. There are the science fiction ideas are few and far between in this episode. Before we move on, I need to ask the boss, boss man, what did you think of the saloon scene? Any thoughts?
It was cute. Again, I have no problem with that kind of stuff. I like that they do things like that. It's common on the Orville, so I had no problem with it. I guess the whole set, little romance stuff like that with John and Tala, I guess that's fine. Again, that's modern there's no way you can get away from it in modern television in terms of they're always going to have these subplots and these romances building up and all that other kind of stuff. The days of each week turning on a new episode of Star Trek and having a science fiction story about the characters and not really, unless it was key to the story, stuff about their personal life, are over. There's never going to be like that again. So, all right. But it always adds sometimes okay drama, other times a little bit unnecessary drama. So it's fine. But I mean, the whole scene overall was fun. I have no problem with it.
I love you. I love you. I love you. And it's good to hear. Although it's tough to hear the things you say, it's good to hear. So let's go to that meeting the Admiral scene. And I'll just set you two gentlemen up by saying things of note here, themes of note here, academic themes of note. The author wants to discuss foreign affairs, social science, and social studies. Here we see a clear a conversation about foreign affairs, social science, and social studies. What did you think of this quick meeting with the Admiral scene, Mark?
Well, I think it's mainly just to set up, obviously the Orville is going to be the ship picking up the delegation, and then it's setting up some comedy that's always in the Orville too, with the admiral down the line, with the shuttlecraft. So, and of course, the joke with Kelly and Mercer being drunk here. So he had no idea we'd been drinking. This is a good day. It's a good day. So we got two kind of Orville classic comedy scenes where the comedy's not overdone, but it's
it was fun.
It's fun. But I'm also thinking too, why would the captain and the first officer be drunk too on the ship at the same time?
Mhm.
Maybe that's not such a good idea, but that's just maybe unless they're in I guess at this point they're in Earth on
I don't know.
or no, they're heading to Earth, so
We're
they're
headed
so
there.
it's like
He told them to
headed there. Yeah, so I mean it
Born on
doesn't
Earth.
seem like a great idea to me to have your number one and number two
Mhm. And Lamar
mentally
keeps talking about
incapacitated.
how they never have enough wine for her and things like that. So I think they're building up a side story here where she's going to have problems with alcohol.
Yeah,
This is yet just another scene where Kelly admits to being drunk. Only we don't see the consequences for Ed, but we see people spreading these rumors and having these conversations about her and with her about her alcohol consumption. Bossman, what did you think of this meeting with the Admiral scene?
Oh, it was good. It was fine. I like Victor Garber, by the way. I was kind of glad to see him get to do a little bit more in this episode. Hello there, Orville Nation. PJ, what's up,
PJ?
buddy? Good to see you, my friend. We're sort of EFAPing the episode, not really, but like breaking it down from the scenes and stuff. Good to see you there, bud. No, I thought it was pretty good, and again, right there, I was really enjoying it. The whole stuff what they thought right now. Of course, I was also sitting there going, "Oh, they're in trouble." Because they're in for. I was kind of questioning actually. You're going to go to the planet with just one ship, and they kind of. Well, if you go to the next one, I'll talk about why.
Yeah, and a small ship at that too,
with
right?
no security, not even Tala. Why don't you bring Tala to the planet with him? But I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit of weak writing. Okay, so
a president with no security. Okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep hopping along here. So I'll introduce it for you gentlemen to talk about it. I'm going to introduce it academically. So the docking bay scene and the captain's room scenes. So I brought these two together because they overlap one another. Here we have the honor guard. So here we see that there is a show of force. We also see more themes of populism, fundamentalism, xenophobia, warmongering, and racism. We also see government political science. So we see them getting into this government political science, wanting to discuss it, wanting to discuss process. We also talk about propaganda and populism. And we hear this, the vacuum will be filled with fear. We talk about deep fake science, and we talk about fake news. We talk again about fundamentalism. This time we touch upon blasphemy laws. So there are many countries, including Canada, that still have blasphemy laws. So we're dipping our toes into blasphemy laws as well. We talk a little bit about fascism. We talk a bit about totalitarianism. And then we talk about how populists are ruled by emotion instead of thinking. So this is the docking bay scene and the captain's room scenes, and these are the academic, nonpartisan themes that are running in this narrative and in this dialogue. Mark, what did you think of the docking bay scene and the captain's room scenes?
Yeah, so now we're back to business. Now you had your two comedic scenes and a couple of jokes, and now the episode starts fast forward again. So you're seeing the populist leader Talea, inciting. Well, she's not inciting a rebellion, but she's inciting the crowd on her planet that supports her, and that it's not going to go well, and you have a sense of foreboding. And as Clobberin Time said, why are they going there with just the Orville, which is not, which is not one of the bigger, it's a small ship, it's a cruiser, it's not a battleship, and just one ship, but it's also laying the groundwork for the potential to lose, the Krill chancellor to lose the election and kill the peace treaty. And you're just seeing how hateful and not thoughtful that leader is on the, Talea is on the planet now. When you get into populism, is a different academic discussion versus, the populist movements that we've had on Earth, and how in different countries, and how that shaped even our country. So without getting into that, but there's just there's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot in this episode that you could have you could speak for a couple hours just on this scene alone in terms of the dialogue and
let me
rhetoric.
call it out to people again so that they know why you're saying what you're saying. Honor guard, more populism, more fundamentalism. We talk about xenophobia. We talk about warmongering. We talk about racism. We talk about the political science of government. We talk about propaganda and populism. We talk about deep fake science. We talk about fake news. We talk about fundamentalism. We talk about blasphemy laws. We talk about fascism, totalitarianism, and the general intelligence level of populists. And this is just a scene that is about how long, our chief engineer? Maybe
it's
a minute?
about 2 minutes, if that,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean,
It's quite a lot.
Quick, but there's a lot in this dialogue. And Kelly here saying how the I keep wanting to say Chancellor Gorkon, but from I kept thinking that he was going to get Star Trek 6, and this would end up being a murder mystery
assassinated or something.
Yeah, no, I kept waiting for that, or it was poisoned,
Right.
and the drink. So
yeah,
and they're talking about the political
Jill.
vacuum. Hey, Jill. So it's
hey there,
gorgeous.
Jill.
It's really they're really not making they're not so subtle here in their rhetoric. You can see where the show is coming down in terms of populism versus
Hey, you remember
more
last
moderate.
week? Do I get to say I told you so?
You can say it, yeah.
But this week, I wanted to make sure that I did not take on any type of critical role in evaluating the episode. I just wanted to bring the academic evidence, the objective academic evidence present in the episode.
It's just sad that there's so much of it.
There is quite a lot of it, but I want, the thing is that if you're going to make a critique, you have to bring receipts. And so I decided to flip my rhetoric this week and just bring the receipts and let you gentlemen talk about it. So Boss Man, unless Mark has anything else to say.
Well, the one last thing I want to just touch on that was brilliant here in terms of the news and the social commentary for today, where that's something we're facing today, where, the deep fake videos where basically, hey, look, they basically recreated Luke Skywalker in the movie. They've recreated characters. There's deep fake videos. So you've got to really do your research today and know who your sources are and not just rely on one news outlet, no matter what that news outlet is. I always try to, read things and do a little bit of digging, because I've been burned before, and they're talking about obviously they're alluding to an election and Facebook and social media here, where there's just this whole rally and all these things have been created whole cloth. And as our technology gets more and more advanced, I mean, I'm on Toxic Tuesday, we're just having fun. I've got that Reface app, and you can turn, I was turning Nick Weiser into Ivan Drago, and then I put my face on him. But, it's a 30-second thing. And of course you can tell that's fake, but just with the real technology and the way it's going, theoretic, it's not theoretical. I mean, it's coming sooner. It's already happening, where you could have a completely fake story used for propaganda purposes.
Okay, so I want to stop you right there. Wouldn't it have been wonderful? Wouldn't it have been wonderful? I'm taking off my academics hat here just for 1 second to speak to you as though you're my friend and my buddy, because you are. But I'm going to change hats for just 1 second here. Wouldn't it have been wonderful if we would have completely shifted to the storyline to make this an actual science fiction show by having them go to the planet and realize this entire thing was some elaborate deep fake? And then it would have been
like
science
fiction or something.
Instead, we push all of the science fiction to the sideline. We push it to the margin, and we forge on with these really, really big themes that I named at the beginning of the show. Boss Man, what did you think of the docking bay scene and the captain's room scenes?
I pretty much agree with everything that Mark was talking about right there. At this point, I believe at this point when I'm watching the episode, I'm really getting concerned that it wouldn't be something like you're talking about, some sort of science fiction story with perhaps someone trying to manipulate events like the Kalon or someone like that, trying to cause division between the Union and the Krill or something like that, that it would be just them using it, basically going after a cheap opportunity to make modern day analogies, and not Roddenberry like ones at all. Very thin. But I must reiterate, as angry as I am about a lot of the things in this episode in terms of the politics and stuff, Seth MacFarlane is not a dummy like Alex Klussman. He is very intelligent. He is subtle, at least. Again, not as subtle as he usually is, because this episode lacks a lot of subtlety, but compared to most of Hollywood, it still is for the most part.
True. Boss man,
Ace
I have to
Cast Iron,
interrupt
what's up,
you.
buddy?
Yes, that's what I was going to interrupt you for.
I beg your
pardon.
And like you know, and like PJ says, there's definitely a lot of social commentary here. But I think and again, there are episodes, because I just love the first 2 seasons of the show so much. I can't name anything that really made me angry, but I can tell you there were times I didn't necessarily agree with things were said, and I still loved the episode because of balance, because of they were throwing things out there, because they were challenging, because they made me think. I don't mind being challenged. I don't like being preached to. I don't like thin propaganda, and I really. Anyway, I'll let you keep going from there. But
well, no, we don't have the didacticism and the hegemony that you know, these lesser writers are using. When I say didacticism, that's just a fancy scholarly term for over moralizing to the point of infantilizing the audience or treating the audience like children. And by hegemony, I mean using power and a corporate voice as a form of dominance, and to create a dominant thought process within a society. Through visual or authorial means. And Clobby is dead to right on that here. We don't see didacticism. We don't see hegemony. And what we are seeing is a discussion. It's a heavy-handed discussion, but we haven't completely fallen off the deep end yet, right, boss?
Yeah, and one thing I want to say is, just so no one comes in and thinks we're just being negative Nancy's here and stuff, I want to say that this show has enough goodwill with me left that, yes, you're going to hear me be very upset with a lot of things in this episode, and I still love Seth MacFarlane and everyone involved, and still is excited about it, but I got to be honest. And so I wanted to get that out there before we continue, because I would not be saying, I don't say them lightly, because I'm almost heartbroken that there are things happening on the show that bother me, because I love it so much. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't care. But I'm just saying that, I'm putting that out. I wanted that to get put out there a little bit more. I probably should have said it before we started. So please continue.
Okay. The shuttle scene. The shuttle scene is quite short. I don't have very many notes here.
I have one problem with that.
We don't see any academic or political themes in play here. We do have some really great commentary on ageism. It's very quick. It's very sassy. It's quite lovely. I think everybody had a nice smile over it. This is a nice science fiction, briefly touching on cloud cover and how that affects the atmosphere. So we do see a glimpse of science fiction here, and we do see the kind of social issues we do want discussed in science fiction, not ripped out of the headlines, polarizing stuff, but just, you know, the stuff that we're really struggling with as people. So for me, great commentary on ageism. Loved talking about the different atmosphere on the Krill planet. I'm going to throw it over to Mark. Mark, what'd you think of the shuttle scene?
Yeah, that was just, I think, a setup. You know, they could use that joke from before, where the president or the admiral knew that Kelly and Mercer were drunk. So it was just a fun scene. And like you said, I'm not that old. You know, hey, I can still handle it. I know what I'm doing. You guys aren't the hot young hot shots. You know, so there's the line here. I'm happy to take the helm, and so Victor, he's great actor in this role.
Lovely
and,
person.
It's a good setup, and just shows you how there's the Orville is very well written, and structured. It's not a wasted scene, but it's a quick scene, and it just sets you up for that planetary approach. And the one thing I have to bring out is why aren't they in sitting down at least when they said they're going to hit the turbulence? Why doesn't the
I thought that was weird.
One thing, look, Phantom Outsider, I'm well aware that all above the krill. Believe me, they're not telling me anything I don't know, but I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. What he's saying, the krill have always been extremists. Yeah, I'm apparently not all of them, but no, I'm very well aware of that, sir.
Yeah. So and then this line by the president: "Night falls fast. Today is in the past." And beside him is actually I'm forgetting the actress's name, who tragically was killed in New York City. Yes. She got hit by a scooter, hit and run accident, and she was more famous on Broadway. Ton of Broadway roles. So the episode was dedicated to her. Unfortunately, I'm forgetting her name now, but that's the actress. Maybe it was one of her last roles, unfortunately. So I think that was a nice humanizing line there. In the of course, it's a blue skinned guy with funny hair, Bruce Boxleiter, and I didn't recognize him, obviously, and then I heard the voice, and I'm like, who is that? Who is that there? So great makeup job. And then you once you know who it is, you pick up on his physicality there.
Second time he's been a president. That's the second time he's been a president of science fiction.
He has a sweet voice too. So, Clubby, what did you think of the shuttle scene, sweetheart?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I like all those stuff. Again, I like Victor Garber a lot as that admiral. Is one of them.
Me too.
One thing this show seems to have avoided well is the bad admiral trope. That's pretty good so far. Anyway, I like that. And I'll give him points for that. I still don't understand why you don't have a lot more security. At least at minimum, Tala, who's almost always with him. Why she's not there? You got the president of the union there. I mean, I know you're not supposed to come with I don't know if that
and a senator and a high-ranking senator.
Right, and an admiral, and you have no security.
Oh
boy, I don't know.
But I guess they probably maybe think, hey, we're on their planet, no matter
Could have brought
you're in. You don't have much of a way of getting out. But I agree that they should have more. A president would have a few more shuttlecraft coming down.
Wear the red shirts.
A few more ships, yeah. And this whole scene, as an engineering nerd, I just love this scene, and this kind of evoked a little bit Blade Runner.
Well, that's the next scene.
Well, this is the shuttlecraft, right? Or the landing.
Yeah, but there's a whole landing scene. It's separate from the shuttle scene. I'll introduce it, and then we can talk about it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep.
So for the landing scene, I'm putting my academic hat back on, where there are some themes. Okay, so these are objective themes that would be discussed and noticed and pointed out in a film studies class, in an academic environment, in a writing environment, in a political science class, and here they are. The landing scene has themes of God versus demons, dark versus light, theocracy, statues, public worship and piety, as well as, once again, that planning and development, totalitarian architecture. It's actually a thing. It affects public assembly. We have election social studies processes. We talk about theocratic rule, how clerics anoint leaders. And so that's a full-on theocracy. And then we talk about falsified elections, election results being questioned. We talk about treason. What's treasonous? We also talk about how in a theocratic environment, it's also heresy. And then we have a coup, which isn't a coup. It's a full coup d'etat because it is done by the military. Yeah. And then we also have themes of fascism. So this is what would be identified by academics in watching this particular landing scene. I'm going to throw it over to you, Mark. What did you think of the landing scene?
Mark, did anyone? Let's see what PJ said. Does anyone think about that? I'm not sure, PJ.
Yeah, or he says, anyone think
happened to Adam Halsey during the part of the episode? During this part of the episode? Or part of the episode?
Well, he's back in San Francisco.
Am
I mixing up Halsey and the other guy? What's his name?
No, Ted Danson is.
Yeah, Ted Danson.
Is he Halsey?
I thought it was Victor Garber.
I thought Victor Garber is Halsey.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, he's with him on the ship. That's what. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never. PJ, I've never thought about it. Well, think about it.
Let's see what
he have a theory. We'd like to hear it. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been, it'd be interesting too, if one of them was replaced, or that could be, but then of course we're getting into more serialized storytelling. If
Lord,
when
no,
they're
no.
in prison, no, but I mean, if they were scrolled, basically one of them,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Could
then
be.
he tells Charlie, hey, come on with us. So it's just a basic setup scene. But I thought as a engineering nerd, I just love the graphics and I'm assuming it's all CGI, but it was a great, as we were showing the
Beautiful. I mean,
slides there, it
visually,
was
this thing was
beautiful.
amazing.
And then Avis is trying hard to really scare us here. But this is brilliant. We try harder. But this really is a great setup. A little Wizard of Oz vibe here too.
And look at the semiology. The head
green
of the deity is a demon. It's clearly a demon on if you look at it through human ideology. So I thought that was incredibly interesting.
Yeah. So it's and Charlie's got a joke, another Orville joke, which isn't overdone, but she asks who this is Avis, and looks like a lot of laughs. Yeah. So
thought something bad to happen to him. Yeah, I mean, I thought a lot of more bad was going to happen to him or the president.
Yeah. So just another great setup. Kudos to the Orville production. I mean, this looks. I'm assuming they have more money with Hulu, but this looks brilliant.
Really
a little bit, maybe a little bit like the scene on Vulcan and TMP, not in terms of theme, but just scope and magnitude. Right. In terms of,
there's no nature here, though.
It's all very
when you go
sterile.
and you see how a Vulcanian lives, it lives one with nature, and it's a very inhospitable planet. Here we're seeing this totalitarian architecture, this severe architecture that depicts, the semiotics are, these demon deities with their horns and their clawed hands, and everything is quite cold and severe and dark. So we're seeing metal, we're seeing stone.
They've got to stay out of the light, right? So
right. But look at the severity of the landscape. It's very severe, right? Anyway.
Oh, yeah. So it's another well filmed scene, and I'm very impressed by the production quality, and it's very easy to follow too. Some shows I won't name. Yeah. Some shows I won't name. I mean, too many lights flashing, spinning, whirling, and a lot of filmmakers are guilty of that. And as I've been dabbling with YouTube, my brother-in-law is a video guy and was a professional. He's like, "Why are you moving all this stuff around? And what if you got too many things going on at once? How's I'm going to follow this?" Which is true. Sometimes less is more. It's that old horrible cliche, but it does. This is they don't have a million things going on in the scene, but it just sets up that mood so well when you're walking down that hallway with this dark green, the demon, Avis, Gothic horror, and it's just they don't have a camera flying around and drones and things. It's just it's a nice setup.
Boss man.
Oh, it's just amazing. I mean, great visuals and all that other kind of stuff. So no, right here. Looks great. Was that basically your question? How about the scene going in?
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss that landing scene. If you had anything to say about these ideas about God and dark versus light and theocracy and these statues, and of course, you have this public worship, the piety, the election stuff, the theocratic rule, the falsified election stuff, the treason, the heresy, the coup d'état, the fascism. There's quite a lot of it happening once again in a very short scene.
Yeah, it does cram a lot of that in there. I mean, like I say, it's so much so you got inundated. Oh, that looked good. That was
oh, that's if I click, that's my background. Yeah, I should have put an Orville background on for tonight. Yep. When I clicked the thing. Yep. Well, yeah, forgetting that I was considering this now. There's another part of the landing scene or a second. If you're considering this both the same scene, but I would definitely want to try some of this Casford's cider. Sounds good.
Have a blast. No, it was. I found all of that. I mean, again, obviously, the looks and production, like Mark says, are just terrific. They're really great. Do a fantastic job. I was finding all of it a bit disturbing, and again, it's kind of at this point you're like, really, it's so obvious that they're about it, that everything's about to go south. There's really not a lot of suspense here, to be honest. Just as from a storytelling standpoint, it was pretty much telegraphed at the beginning of the episode that something they were really. That's why again, I have a lot of problems with the writing of this episode, especially, you know, a few of the most important people in the Union with no protection, going to one of the most dangerous places you could possibly go, to people that not too long ago didn't, you know, wanted to kill you. They don't consider you real life forms, even in some cases. They were setting up a lot of that stuff in earlier seasons about the krill, and now you're just going to walk onto their planet like that. I find it a little bit way too much of a stretch, to be perfectly honest. So at this point, I'm not checked out of the episode, but I'm having a lot of problems and really wishing they weren't going the direction they're going with this whole story, to be perfectly honest. So right here, I'm concerned. Right here, I'm like, I don't even know I don't know if this is even the kind of story I want to see on this show. And with all the politics, I'm not just saying because whether I disagree with anything or not. Even if I totally agreed with the politics, I'm not sure I really want to go this deep into politics on my science fiction
what a lovely,
show.
what a lovely thing to say. Can I ask you, just shooting straight from the hip, I'm going to take my academics hat off again for a very short period of time, just to ask you, as my buddy and one of the best friends I've ever had, what did you think of, Mark, could I get you to just back up a little bit there to the scene where she introduces the marketplace?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say something to Clobby, and I just want to see what Clobby has to say, and obviously to you as well, Mark. Okay, what I just would like to say this to my fellow Americans, for everyone outside of America, with some, you know, sort of higher ordered thinking. This whole idea of the grand marketplace and calling it the center of commerce, and just the way the city looks. It cries out for this idea of decadence. And not only do we have this idea of decadence, we have this idea of Las Vegas. And when you're looking at that, the semiotics of it scream to me that this is commentary of decadency, of people living a very decadent life, sexually, monetarily, you know, very indulgent. All this neon, this screams Las Vegas to me. So I just wanted to say that, and then put my academic hat back on and shut my mouth. What do you guys think of that?
Phantom Outsider, we don't know how much security the krill went to the Union in. They never show that. We're never shown that. So I'm not sure that I buy into that either. But even if it's true, they might have. Yeah. Even if it's true, I still don't think it doesn't matter. Still doesn't make any sense. So whether that's true or not, and they don't really show it as far as what the krill. All I know is the Union people went in with zero, none, and it was kind of silly to me. And but at this point, I've already seen enough, and it's a shame, heavy-handed political craps that I knew where they were going. Obviously, there was another surprise later down the road we didn't know about. But I kind of, at this point, already knew what they were going to do, and I was pretty... I mean, I'll just say it. I was a little put out right here. I'm going, okay, this is all going to be about certain orange things and certain types of, like you talked about, populism, certain things that have happened in our own world. There are going to be some thinly veiled analogies to that, and I'm not feeling it. I'm not with it, and this show's better than that. I really don't need it in my Orville, to be perfectly honest with you, but I don't get a say in it, so I'm hoping the episode gets better at this point, but quite frankly, I'm having a lot of problems right now with it. At this point in the episode, I'm like, I don't really like where we're going here. I hope it surprises me. Hello there, Andy Masterson. But I'll agree with what Andy Masterson said. I was actually pissed off at this point at the politics, and I hope, again, I'm going to try to stay positive about the show going forward. But at this point, I'm not saying checked out, but I was unhappy. I'm perfectly honest with you.
Can I just say, regarding last week, I'm sorry to say it again, but I told you all so. I told you so. And I think it's only going to get worse.
I want to answer PJ real quick.
Sure. Go ahead. Yep.
Does the Orville have more leeway with some of these writing choices because they are more lighthearted science fiction? They have more leeway with me because they built up enough good faith that even if they piss me off a couple times, PJ, I'll keep coming back and giving them chances. I mean, how long that lasts, I don't know. But yeah, I think so. But if they get too heavy, because they weren't that lighthearted in this episode, but I would say the closest I can get to an answer to that, PJ, is yes. Right now, for me, I'm willing to, to cut slack, and not that they need it from me, obviously, but as a fan, I'm willing to, forgive. And again, they don't need my forgiveness. You know what I mean? As just for this one fan, I'm willing to chalk it up as an episode that was not really my cup of tea, but I'm not happy. And again, I know this is spoilery, but anyway, go ahead, Mark, whoever was about.
Well, I was just was going to say too that yeah, I texted you because I was going on Nerdporio last night. If anyone wants to see the review that we had an instant reaction. I was on last night, and I texted you my concerns. As I started watching it, because you had a little politics at the end of the last episode, and then I was worried too because it was so. I thought very heavy-handed and trying to look for the right words, but it wasn't too subtle. So of course they're presenting, all different sides here.
But good at being subtle, but it weren't subtle this time. Sorry, go ahead.
And as Jill was mentioning too, you knew who they were talking about in the review as we're in the chat last night. So maybe you shouldn't be able to point out current day figures. Of course, you could argue, well, they'd say, oh, they're just taking some leeway, and there's just some stylistic choices there. It's not. It's not definitely that person that you're thinking of, but it could be. And the other point I thought too that kind of threw me out with this scene was if they know they're there on election night and they're going to sign the treaty, wouldn't you have waited till after the election before you send your president? Why would
it's hard to believe.
That really bugged me, where you would have the president there, even though allegedly the chancellor said he was winning. There was no chance he would lose, but then you've got that scene with the admiral. You've got all that intelligence saying that. Talay is, gaining support, and she's becoming popular because of the treaty. Hey, Tim, that's her one issue. So I thought that was really ridiculous that they would have sent the president there on election night to sign a treaty. Why don't we wait to see what happens, with the government? Maybe he won't be able to be as flexible, to quote someone politically after the next election. So that I thought was a big a fundamental flaw in the episode that the writer should have taken into account in some way. That maybe the Krill were building up. We had to sign the episode, sign the treaty in this episode instantly. But I thought that was. Something that kind of threw me out, along with the lack of security. At least take 4 or 5 ships, have some kind of force, and then you would have had maybe an instant reaction force on the border ready to go if anything went wrong too, because it's your president of your planetary union. It's not just a lower level diplomat. It's the head. It's your president.
It's big cheese. Yeah, I want to give a quick answer to this really quickly because it's an interesting question. And our good buddies from Retro Blasting says, "May I ask, as someone who hasn't seen it, who hasn't seen it, he hasn't seen the episode yet. I guess he means how the political allegories in the episode differ from the TOS episode Patterns of Force."
I'd like to answer this after you.
Okay, basically, it's simple. That episode, of course, was not only talking about historical events that were in the history books, and the clear villain was Melicon and the way he used John Gill's history to create we were talking about clear-cut evil from Yahtzees. That was no gray area. Here, these are allegories of basically modern-day people who accuse other people of being Yahtzees that necessarily aren't, and they're coming from people who accuse others of being what you saw in that TOS episode that are not. And they but only on the basis of they don't agree with their politics. So it's a huge difference, but he hasn't seen it yet. So but that's my basic answer to that. Thank you, Retro Blasting. Number one, did you want to go?
And Patterns of Force, the big reveal was that it was never supposed to happen. That's also key, but it's also important to yes. So it was something that should not have happened, and that clear message is sent. But you haven't seen the episode yet, but I will tell you this. The difference also, too, in Patterns of Force is that we have a single allegory. We don't have a story that is trying to facilitate fundamentalism, orthodoxy, atheism, populism, socialism, abortion, pro-life, xenophobia, isolationism, interracial marriage, interracial children, racism, prejudice, military conflict, foreign affairs, capitalism, bad, assassination, public execution, nostalgia, colonialism,
It's all in
anti-environmentalism,
there.
propaganda, memes,
Yeah.
fixed elections, dark versus light, good versus evil. The thing here is that if you were to look at this objectively as an academic who was, let's say, running a film studies class or a writing class or a critical theory class, and we were going to take this apart, the semiotics and what's actually being presented objectively it's really a densely packed episode that has a lot to say. It's almost like a manifesto. There's a lot going on here. It's not a single allegory. So I would just like to add that. And of course, the fact that in Patterns of Force, it was something that wasn't meant to happen. And here it's clearly meant to happen. Anyway, go ahead.
And Patterns of Force had one point. Do not try to copy what happened in Yahtzee. Don't try to copy the Yahtzees. John Gill didn't realize that, but he wasn't trying to do that. Then Melicon took it and made it worse. And again, that's all the whole story is about, is that one thing. Do not copy that form.
Yeah, there was you guys said it so well. Yeah, it was a lawless society, and he just tried that as an experiment. And he thought it wouldn't have the bad societal implications, and unfortunately, with that form of government, as we've seen throughout history and other forms of government as well, it usually doesn't end well. So, and this episode, Raquel, you said it beautifully, that there's just, when I was doing the instant review last night, the list of what was touched on in this episode was just a massive list of. And then, eventually we're going to get to the abortion. And then all of a sudden, I think I texted you last night, Claude, and now they're covering abortion now.
Yeah.
I was like, pissed off enough.
I mean, it's thick. Let's get back into it because I want Hungry Boy to be able to come back tonight.
We'll try to go faster, everyone. Sorry. But like Raquel said, this episode's packed. I mean,
next scene is Kelly in charge. All I have for my notes on this one is this is a great science fiction pew pew action scene. So we're getting quite a bit of pew pew here to the delight of fans, I am sure. But the Kelly in charge scene is pew pew action-rific. Any comments on this scene, boys?
Are you talking about you getting to the part where they're under attack?
That's the next scene.
The corkscrew maneuver.
Yeah, sweetheart. Could you please move that forward if you don't mind?
There you go.
Thanks,
yep, I got it. See, yep.
What's wrong with you, dude? You blink.
I'm slow. Come on, what's going on, man?
Hey, Rifter,
come on, man.
See, this is a lot of fun. Yes, it's just effects and stuff like that. But I see Gordon has not had a chance to do much this year, but I'm a big Gordon fan. He's probably my favorite character, and I love it. What do you call it? It's like the corkscrew move or something like that.
Helix.
He said I just made it up.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask a question? If I take off my academic hat here for just 2 wags of a dog's tail, 2 wags of very cute little puppies' tails, and I just say, do you think that this was actually just inserted to give us some breathing room from all of these really, really weighty themes and their density? What do you fellas think of that?
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Purple. Purple Valkyrie.
Lady Pee-wee's here.
Hey,
Purple Valkyrie.
Where are you at? Where are you, Purple? Good to see you. I hope you been having a wonderful time wherever you are. Lovely to see you.
Is she still in the States or is she still
I don't know.
She's
on a secret mission somewhere. But
well, it's either good morning or good night.
Yeah. I don't know if it's good night or good morning, but love to see you. I think it's, I don't know about that. I think what story they have. Hello there, Oliver. Good. I think it was a necessary scene. That I think it was just logical that they would have to. They would be under attack and they'd have to. So it worked. It wasn't, but it did break the monotony a little bit.
Yeah, because when you're hammering away.
yeah. But it was a fun scene, though. Again, look, whatever else I have my problems with, this show looks better than anything on TV. These are just they have things that are excuses for Star Wars out there somehow that look like garbage. This has great if space battles are your thing, and the Orville's not about space battles, but it still does them brilliantly, and this is great stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Lots of fun. Pew pew pew. And how did the chief engineer feel about the pew pew pew?
Well, I love this scene, and Kelly is a kick-ass commander, as she says, in the episode, and you don't get on her bad side, and she's very
Right.
just her body posture, her body language. She's very much in command. She fits that role. She's doing the actress is doing a great job, so she's very believable as the commander.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then you've got some more Orville humor again, where got the helix maneuver, but it's not overdone, which I like too. You got that when I first mentioned it before, when I first heard about the Orville, I said, "Oh, it's going to be a comedy. It's going to be like Quark in space. It's going to be a garbage scout story or something crazy. What's going on? There's Bortus, couple 2 seconds here with Bortus.
He can eat metal.
Yeah, well, no, but
And
maybe
cigarettes.
he can't spin. Maybe he can't spin around.
I love
That was
it.
funny though. Yeah.
I love it.
But that's what's you got
This
that little bit of
justice system.
humor in there that
Right.
makes you kind of smile, and you're wondering how our heroes are going to escape this one. I wanted to see that new fighter though that they had. I guess it would have been outnumbered.
What's that fella's name who plays Bortus again? Is it Peter Macron or Macon?
Yes. Macon or something like that?
I just want to say this. Wow. He's no Tasha Yar. This wonderful man is
I
no
love
Denise
Bortus.
Crosby.
No.
You know how people are just grateful that they have a job where they pretend and they're just magnificent at it,
Yeah.
and they're so caring about it. Years from now, we're going to look back on the way that he handles the Union LCARs. I don't know what they call their computer systems, but just the way he handles it. You can tell that he loves playing this character. He doesn't feel this character is beneath him. And because of that, we're going to be talking about him like we talked about Worf, like we talked about Data, like we talked about all
great.
of these
Bortus.
super
Great.
compelling characters that were really immersed in what they were doing. So my hat's off. I'm taking off my academic hat again. Sorry, everyone, but I just have to say my hat's off to someone who is grateful for their pretending role and plays it out so beautifully that you respect their art and craft. And
Right.
so to him, all the way he was handling that con, I was like, oh, is this real? Is this real?
Hail Bortus. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
Bortus.
he's fantastic in that role. I just love that. The social commentary is there, but it's so interesting the way it was done, and
That's the way you do it. The way about a girl.
Yeah.
That's the way you're supposed to.
That's the gold standard.
Because that's talking about ideas. I mean, it's political in a sense, but they're ideas first.
They are,
and it's debating, it's talking. Not what they're doing now in this episode, and
that's when I knew that Orville was going to be
Socratic dialectic, perfectly executed.
Right.
It is the gold standard of social science issues in modern television. About a Girl is the gold standard. So Mark has brought us.
I was just going to say that's when I knew the series was something special too. In my opinion, and when I was watching, I said, "Wow,
like the
that's
third episode."
I was like, "Wow, it's not going to be all just comedy." Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark's brought us to the Talea address. I hate the way this woman's name is spelled because it's not Talea, it's Talea. So I'm just going to spell it with an A so I pronounce it properly. But we get to the Talea address. And once again, I'm going to put on my academic hat, my professor's hat here, and say that there are some themes that are going on in this scene, and they are totalitarian architecture. Once again, folks, this is a real thing where different governments control whether or not their population can assemble, how they assemble, and what they can do by how they commit to their planning and development. So here, once again, we have this totalitarian architecture on full display. It's very severe. The semiotics, the signs, the symbols, the artifacts are quite severe, and you can see them. We have the theme of mob violence. We have the theme of theocratic execution. We have the theme of public execution. Those are two different things. We have fascism, assassination, dehumanization, bloodlust, hostage taking, war strategies, and the relevance of the United Nations. So this scene is packed full of really, really important, weighty issues. I'm going to throw it over to Mark. What did you think of the Talea address, fine sir?
Well, it's more of the same, but it keeps unpacking those issues, and you see how, wow, they're really going to go through with this. And the chancellor, the ex-chancellor, is I was expecting maybe to have something where it was more drawn out. He would contest the election, and in this scene, you're like, wow, she just executes him for everyone to see. So it just shows you it's supposed to be a very religious society, but it's a very brutal world and a brutal society here, where the chancellor can just do basically whatever she wants, judge, jury, and executioner, all in one. There's no court of law. There's no trial. He doesn't even get to speak for himself, and just and then she's calling it justice, and it's just boom. It's so you're wondering, maybe the Planetary Union shouldn't be allies, and of course the Krill, as we know, were enemies. In the past seasons, just the Kalon that have brought them together. But really a brutal, scary scene that was shocking when I to see it the first time, because
if you love
wasn't expecting that.
Mark's comments, and while Mark is continuing to speak, I want you to know that that Chris Persia is partaking in the same type of commentary in the chat, going to that same place socially in the discussion. So my hat's off to Chris Persia as he handles that conversation in the chat. Sorry to interrupt you, Mark.
Let me answer PJ really quick. A great buddy, PJ with Orville Nation. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You're too kind, buddy. You didn't have to do that. You could have I would have taken your question anyway, because we respect your opinion way up there. You're an Orville, an Orville expert. We know that. Thank you so much. PJ says, question for thought: do we now hold the bar higher when we talk, analyze Orville compared to Trek, Star Wars, other? Do we have higher expectations? My answer would be absolutely, because it's earned that over the first 2 seasons of the show. It is earned. And again, I'm going to go out on a limb, presume you mean modern day horrible Trek and horrible Star Wars and stuff. I don't know. Because I wouldn't hold it above. I would hold it to the same standard I would hold old Trek to, real Trek. But that's never coming out again. So my answer again is yes, PJ, because they earned it. They put themselves there. They have the gravitas to be held to that standard. I think so. Yeah, that's my opinion. I don't know about Mark or Raquel. They can answer for themselves.
Mark, did you want to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, well, I agree with that. Yeah, they've had such fantastic episodes, and maybe because we've had a dearth of good TV shows lately. Cobra Kai has been a standout. I've enjoyed Stranger Things this new season, but my Star Trek and Doctor Who. I was upset to learn that I shared a birthday with a certain doctor I won't name. But it's just we've lost, and it's different too between having. All right, well, you got some clunker episodes that aren't the best episodes, or I didn't really like that story, but when you're arguing over the fundamental change in nature of a character, when you don't recognize that character anymore in some of our beloved IPs, that's what's really upsetting. So yeah, the Orville definitely hold it to a high standard. It's been breath of fresh air, something I always look forward to watching. It's been, oh God, it's been a long time. And BJ and I were both at New York Comic-Con in 2019 at the Orville panel. I didn't know him at the time, but we're both in the room watching that. And now we're finally getting to see, the series come out in 2022, that third season. So, and that room was full of energy, and people love, they love the Orville, right? So hopefully we get that next season. So we do hold it to a higher standard. It doesn't mean every episode, if there were a couple of bad episodes, I'm not going to, that's it, I'm not watching again. But we do, hold it because it's been so good in the past.
PJ, for me, I'm going to jump in here so we can keep the show rolling along. I'm going to answer completely differently. I'm just going to say this, that we live in a completely different society now. And what we're seeing is an author versus a corporation, or authorial storytelling versus corporate storytelling. And so I think modern productions are beholden to these higher standards, or people apply these higher standards, because we see this this deepening of the understanding that corporate storytelling, sort of through these groups of writers who are writing, is far different than what we had before, which was an author brought a story forward, a teleplay specialist would convert it into something that could be produced in celluloid, and we would have all of these marvelous stories from all of these different authors. And of course, that's not the way storytelling happens today. What happens in storytelling today is you have a team of authors, you have a corporation. We have evidence in academia that there are psychologists, marketing people, all sorts of folks that work for the corporation sitting in on those meetings and partaking in that story development process. And so when people sit down to watch things now, there's a fundamental shift in the relationship between the storyteller and the person listening to the story, or watching the story, or reading the story. And so, do I hold a corporation to a different standard than an author? I most certainly do. Corporations have taken it upon themselves to take on the role that the church used to have, when the church used to be completely in charge of reprinting books, of writing out books. And then, of course, we had the printing press, and we had this flood of hyper-didactic, hegemonic, hyper-religious texts, and that's all you could get. Well, and then we started having authors coming forward saying, no, I want to write a story. Let's write some stories. Let's have something that's not religious. And so that's not to disparage religious people, but it's a clear indication that you have to be careful when a large organization like a church or a government or a corporation controls the storytelling, rather than an individual who sat down one night with a glass of wine by candlelight, smoked 9,000 cigarettes, and wrote a wonderful story. So it's important for us to be careful of what we're going to get into later when we speak about this, where in a completely nonpartisan way, I'm going to explain the danger of crossing over that line of storytelling into propaganda. And I hope that answers your question.
Indeed. Well, I'll just say about that scene, and so we can get moving. When she executes, whatever you want to call it, the chancellor, whatever he was. That was probably the ruination of that character for me as a fan, because I really liked that character. The opening scenes of the episode might have been really the ruination when I saw what the direction they were going with her. She just kills him up there in cold blood, doesn't arrest him, and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, now we're getting into kind of a farcical territory where I'm like, okay, I know she's supposed to be an extremist, but there's not even a bit of decency in her if she's just going to stab an unarmed man like that just because he's a political opponent. That really sickened me to the point where the episode was lost at that point. I mean, there could have been something redeemable about her. I know there were people say things that occur later in the episode will be redeemable for her down the road. I don't buy it. But then again, modern entertainment these days is often taking people doing really horrible, rotten things and then trying to make them sympathetic, because we're kind of upset. Modern writers don't understand heroism, and they like blurring that line, and they like to take villains and turning them in, making them too sympathetic these days. That's a real problem.
That's a good point.
You turned her into a villain with that scene. Now there's no going back. I don't care how sympathetic you try to make her. She didn't kill a guy in a fight or anything like that. She didn't even kill him in a legal execution or any other way. She just stabbed him right there in front of a bloodthirsty crowd.
Yep.
You have no credibility with me after that. Yep. That's just me.
Yeah, it's different than like a Darth Vader character who sees the light in the end and then rebels against the Emperor and takes out the Emperor. Or
because it was the dark side. Yeah,
the dark side. But he has his redemption. But this character is totally evil here right now, and it makes you wonder too. In this world, you can just people in power can just execute people. There's no repercussions, so that's a very, very, very scary place to be. So,
and I like this character.
Said it really well.
Really
because she's sympathetic, and it's an interesting character arc.
She was previously.
In the other episodes, there was a conflict in her, and there still is a conflict, but that's a irredeemable act with that execution. That's a great point, CLOBBERIN Times.
So shame.
So let's get rolling.
Yeah, roll. Yep, yep.
Let's go to the Ed and Talea scene. And here we're going to, I'm going to put my academics hat back on. And here we see themes of prisoners of war, the concept of being a prisoner of war, POW. We talk about themes of loyalty, terrorism, interracial relationships, weapons of war, divided society, 50-50, public execution, once again, more talk of fundamentalism and more executions. And once again, they're public. And Ozymandias was written by Percy Shelley. I thought you should all know that that is Mary Shelley's husband. And as many of you know, if you tune into our show, that Frankenstein is our first novel. It's our first modern work of science fiction. And so I thought that it was interesting that he went with Ozymandias. Being Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, of course, the first novel of science fiction. And that's all I have to say about that scene. Mark, what'd you think of the Ed and Talea scene?
Oh yeah, another great character moment there, where Ed telling her, hubris is going to get the better of you, with that Ozymandias quote. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair, and then there's nothing left but an empty desert. So that's a great scene there, showing how you think you're on top, and it's not going to end well. And then she reacts back. I choose the way of Ozymandias. So it's her character just keeps going further and further down that dark hole, and it's a really very unlikable character.
Didn't you think it was weird at this point, though, when she said, like, I choose darkness and not light, but in her society, darkness is light? I found that troubling.
That's true. Yeah,
took me out of the story. What about you?
No, that's a great point.
Very good point.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it, but and then she says, here she's kind of giving you maybe a minute flicker where, we've got closure, but it's really and now here you think Ed's going to be executed too, until this is the next scene. But I thought it was a good exchange there to show that the difference between the two characters, the two different worldviews, and she's really and the actress is fantastic too behind all that makeup. Oh, yeah. She really conveys does a great job, and she does. And she's she's cute without the makeup. So as an aside, yeah, beautiful.
This is kind of when I was kind of checked out, but it's a very good scene, very well written scene. I like that part. I like when they were he said, you got to remember, he said, PJ says, you got to remember that Talea's movement was being silenced by the chancellor. Yeah, well, I understand that. I mean, no one's saying, he's a politician. I don't like politicians much anyway, but, I still don't think it doesn't justify what she did, in my opinion, anyway. But I don't know, you're not saying that, PJ. I'm just saying. But, yeah, this scene was well written. For what it's worth, it was a good exchange. I mean, again, it's just, I'm kind of cold right there because I'm like, I don't like her anymore. I mean, I don't know. I know it's childish, but anyway, continue.
Okay, so then we have 3 rapid scenes that really don't have any content in them, except for when we get to one certain point. So I'll just rattle it off. So we have a secret escape scene. Then we have Kelly and Talea speaking, and Talea is quite harsh with Kelly. I don't have comments on that. Then we have this scene where the fleet is dispatched, and there's a conference with Admiral Perry. And once again, I didn't make any specific academic notes from that. However, the escape scenes argue tacitly, and of course tacitly meaning they don't have to openly come out and say it, that capitalism leads to poverty, homelessness, lechery, begging, violence in the streets, gambling, and drinking. And you'll recall earlier that
Yep.
I was talking about this severe architecture of krill, that it looks like Las Vegas. And this is their, lots of neon, lots of money changing hands, and so on and so forth. None of that exists in the San Francisco scenes. But in those escape scenes, we do see this rhetoric that capitalism leads to poverty. We see extreme poverty in the streets. We see homelessness. We see over and over again these images of lechery, begging. People in this planet, the semiotics are quite disturbing, because it looks as though people on this planet don't even eat with utensils or napkins or any type of wraps. They're eating bones, like cooked meat, with no napkin or plate or fork or anything. So these are powerful semiotic symbols that send this idea of savagery. So we're seeing capitalism as poverty, homelessness, lechery, begging. We see these dehumanized people that are violent in the streets. They're gambling, they're drinking, and they're almost like savages, because the semiotics say when they eat, it's like a caveman. They eat like the bone in the middle of the street. Somebody can bang you in the back and say, "Buy this bone of meat." So it's got some serious semiotics going on. And then we see children out of wedlock, interracial children hidden in religious shame. We see Ed abandons his daughter Anaya, though she will grow up hidden and without parents, without a family. She won't be able to go to school. She won't have friends. She'll be raised as a quote unquote abomination, and almost like she's a messiah. They try and correct that, but there's no going back after they declare her a messiah, or the deliverer of her society. So we see themes of hypocrisy and secrets in public figures. And of course, I have to take off my academic hat for 1 second and put on my critic's hat, just to say that I was extremely disappointed in Ed Mercer in this scene. He should have at least said at some point, "I want to take her with me. I want to take her with me." But he abandons her without even a second thought. So I'm going to put on my academics hat again, shut my mouth. The next scene is the Pew Pew fleet.
Well, I just want to mention in this frame here, this looks like a sun god dial. That sculpture in the background reminded me of the sun or the earth. So I thought that was a oblique religious scene in the background. That maybe that's just me, but referring to her as like a savior. So that kind of caught my eye there. That
look, this guy,
the sun there, like a sun god.
Yes, very nice semiotics, Mark.
Well, Comic Relief Crusader actually says it. He says, "Personally, I'm getting really tired of seeing typical religious societies are backwards in their thinking." Well, that's McFarlane. If you watch his show, he hates religions, and I'm not religious. Raquel's not religious, Marcus, but he has a lot of disdain for any religion, and that's his business. But I mean, if he keeps it out of his show to a point, it would be nice. But he went full force with it, and this dystopian crap. I can get dystopian science fiction future crap anywhere. I don't need it on the Orville. Just like it didn't belong in Star Trek either. I know this is not the Union Planet, but still, I just don't like it. And yes, you're absolutely right, Raquel. With his daughter, he should have brought her. He should have come back for her. He should have taken her with him. That was a touching scene and all that kind of stuff. That was for naught, just depressing, really. Not
think about that opening scene with Annie, boss.
Yeah.
Look at all those mixed race kids in the Annie scene, in the second scene at the top of the show. There's no reason why Anaya cannot live out a completely normal life on Earth. He should have at least said, "I want to take her," and them say, "No, absolutely not." But he doesn't even try. And so for me, he is a paper tiger. And you know what you do with the paper tiger? You light a match.
On another note, the whole long, daughter reveal thing's getting kind of old anyway. That's kind of an old trope. I'm like, oh, really? He has a long lost daughter that he didn't know about, kind of thing. I'm like, how many times do we have to see that over and over again? I wasn't feeling that either too much, to be perfectly honest with you, even in a better story. But that's just me, I guess.
Do you see this wonderful comment from Chris Persia, who has been throwing out wonderful comments all night? Chris Persia, I love you. And yes, there was another incident of semiotics and this sort of anti-Western, anti-capitalist rhetoric. He says that there were weapons that could be purchased, very easily on the street. So there was more commentary there that I missed, probably because I was looking down writing. But Chris Persia, thank you so much for that. I love you. I will make a note of that. You are marvelous. And please continue your filament of conversation in the chat. I love you, Chris.
Yes, Wendy, I think that Anaya will definitely be dealt with. That's something I'm gonna get to a little bit later about how they're injecting about 1 million different threads into this show that are turning it into a soap opera. But she'll be back. Yeah.
And this other interesting part of the scene too, where there's more moderate members of the Krill, and I wonder how there could even be any moderates in this society where it's just so over the top. But apparently there are, and I guess the chancellor, or I guess they're split 50-50, as they say, part of the dialogue in the episode. But they're saying it's a miracle to have the treaty to go through. But that's a great point. Yeah, why didn't Mercer at least suggest it? I mean, I don't think there's any way he could have gotten her out at this point, or maybe wouldn't want to endanger her, but at least he could have said, hey, let me take her to a place where she'll be accepted. She won't be accepted on the cruel planet. I guess she lives her life just in this one room or this one house hidden. Yeah. Has never met her mom, didn't know who her dad is. It's a pretty bleak existence. But
ridiculous.
Then they try to build her up. They try to build her up as being highly intelligent and almost like as a savior.
The key to
and it's kind of it's kind of overdone. I mean, it's too simplistic because where they're headed is obviously Talia and Ed are going to have come to some kind of some kind of agreement, and their daughter is going to become public, and she'll have to make peace with the Union with a different treaty. So that's the obvious choice where the show could be headed. But she's a symbol of coexistence. So we'll see how heavy-handed they are with that storyline. But Talia definitely, I would think, other than how their morality on the religion, we don't know much about the religion, but she can execute someone at will. But I guess an innocent child they have, that's their code. I guess you can't because she wouldn't want her to
that later.
Yeah, she would want her to disappear. So
yep.
That's and we find out that Talia actually released Ed. So there's a lot, as we keep saying, there's a lot going on. Twists and turns. Yep.
Are we ready for the Talia and Ed scene, or does anybody want to add anything?
Go for it.
The next scene is Talia and Ed. They're talking. And there are some themes here that are being discussed in the narrative, in the dialogue, the story proper. And these themes are adoption, racism, religion, pro-life, interracial relationships, interracial children, abortion, and torture through simulation. So lots of really weighty topics just being thrown out. And I'm wondering what you thought of the Talia and Ed scene. And I'll throw it over to Mark first. Mark, what did you think, Bob?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting here. The two characters, obviously, they're differing points of view. Ed is saying, why did you have her? And then the episode went where I never expected it to go. How human of you to, ask that question, but then you terminate life with abandon, do you not? And of course, we don't know, what's happens in the, planetary union. This is just kind of out of left field. So, and then they show what they do to someone who is not taking a pregnancy full term. And is a science fiction idea here. They take the DNA profile and actually create a hologram of the child that would have been. So this, I was really shocked to see that it didn't seem to fit either. I mean, then right away they can walk to this room where these parents are being punished. And I at first I thought they were going to execute the parents. That's where I thought they would go. So this was an interesting, very interesting to show the child that would have been born, and so that I thought was an interesting science fiction idea there. And then Ed, but then he says the actor here, there's some touching lines, and you can see how it affects the parents. But then Ed here says JC to Leia, and is this the kind of world you want your daughter to grow up in? So that was a shocking, some kind of shocking lines to me. And of course, this is not off the cuff. This is written, written like this. So that line I was, is he trying to show both sides? But then he's invoking. I'm saying, no, yeah. But then when you read that line and then you see what's written in the script, but it was interesting to me, and they're showing what could happen, the pain, when this does happen. So in that context, they did show another side, but this line doesn't give you any in terms of Ed. This the Union doesn't think this way, and I would think in the future, this far in the future, that wouldn't even be an issue where something that you'd have to worry about in such an advanced society. But so that's where
more of this suppressed narrative, because we see his mask slip up, so he is no longer Ed Mercer. He lifts his mask up for a couple of seconds twice to let us know that this is social commentary. This is not science fiction. This is not an immersive story. And he sends us a signal as an author to let us know that he's speaking about modern day, and he's talking about us right now. This is not pretend. This isn't science fiction. He doesn't want it to be immersive. And how he does that is he takes off his mask twice. Once when he says Billy Joel, which is an anachronism to being 400 or 500 years in the future. Nobody would know who Billy Joel was. I mean, I like Billy Joel and stuff, but he's no Mozart. Yeah. And then he also says,
watch it.
he also says JC. And so here is an author lifting his mask and saying, actually, I'm not acting. I'm not pretending. This is my monograph. This is my these are my politics. These are my ideas. And we see that anymore. Otherwise someone would have suppressed the Billy Joel comment and the JC comment, because an atheist 400 years in the future would not say JC, and somebody from the future would not use Billy Joel in such a blatant anachronism. So
especially to an alien, it's like, only Nixon can go to China line.
That's right. So we know that he's signaling the audience that this is his manifesto. This is his monograph. This is his idea about where we're at now. And a clever editor would have said to him, let's remove JC and let's remove Billy Joel and make sure this stays completely immersive. And he says, no. We're leaving JC and Billy Joel in because I want this to hit home to let people know this is what I believe. And yeah.
Do we know when this episode was filmed?
I don't know. But this scene, it's been a while. All right, look, this scene was not put together by Seth, the showrunner. It was put together by Seth, the Twitter poster. Mm-hmm. And that's just why any other show, I would have been done right here after this scene. I would have stopped watching it and never watched the show again. It's pathetic. It's asinine. It's stupid. It's everything about the scene is idiotic. And not because of where I'm not even going to tell anyone, you probably know if you know me, where I come down on the issue that he's addressing. The fact that he's addressing it at all, using a clever science fiction concept to address it, but it still is. It's about as subtle as to quote Blackadder, as a rhinoceros horn up the backside. It's not subtle. He's telling you that these are the kind of nasty people who happen to be on the other side of the issue that I am. And it's pathetic. And again, I don't look at his Twitter because he tweets like an idiot, and yet I love and respect what he's done with this show so far. But somehow, some way, he took off the Orville showrunner hat. I just got me an Orville hat, everybody, that I love so much. Now I'm wondering if I want to keep it. See my my Orville hat.
I love it.
But yeah, this is Seth, the political Twitter poster that's insufferable, that puts things, just because I disagree with him doesn't mean I dislike him. But
No.
yeah, that's the Seth that put that scene together. And this right there would have made me stop watching the show if I wasn't such a fan of the show. And I'm going to continue and hope next week's episode is great.
Mhm.
So right there, I have almost nothing left to say about this show other than some story points. But
well, we
Oh,
have
and-
we have a few scenes left, and we can go through them really fast.
Yeah, we can
but
go
I
through-
don't
I
know
just
if we
wanna
threw it
mention-
over to
sorry.
Mark.
Well, just no idea.
Yeah,
I just
yes,
Orville
it's
Nation
true.
and Phantom mentioned he did. Ed gave her tapes, I guess, to listen to Billy Joel. So I
Yeah.
guess
Yes, he
that's
did.
that
Yeah,
that
that's what that
throwback.
was
Yeah,
for.
I forgot that,
By
but
the
thank
way,
you for that.
Really quickly, Pop Culture Curator for the $5. Thank you so much. He said, I think Seth knows this is the last season, so he's throwing in all of his politics. He does not care. I don't
Good
know if
point.
that's the truth. It may be true. It may be the last, maybe not. He says it's not necessarily the last Pop, but it might be. I don't.
It's a salient point. It's a salient
It's
point.
a
Now, whether or not
possibility.
it's true, we can't say. No one can say, but it is a salient point. It's great speculation, and I think that's a wonderful comment. Pop
Yeah,
Culture
I mean, it's a
Curator.
possibility. Yeah, you never
Yeah.
know. So, shall we continue?
Let's continue, boss. So let's go to the Talea address. And once again, there's more of this horrible architecture. And so in the Talea address, we see populism, mob mentality, fascist and totalitarian architecture, fundamentalism, theocratic rule, public execution, capital punishment in the absence of trial, light versus dark, devil versus God, good versus evil. And then we have a beautiful pew pew rescue scene, rotating for several minutes. Thoughts?
Okay. Yep. I guess I've been going first. I'll go. Yeah, I thought the rescue scene was well done. You find out what Directive 21 is. That's why at first I'm like, well, how come these aliens aren't affected by the light? And then you find out it's Lamar and the doctor on this rescue scene, and that's why it took a while, I guess, to set up Directive 21. So they, so that was fun and interesting. They had a plan all along to infiltrate. So I know even though they didn't have that much security, they did have it seemed like a backdoor rescue plan set up. So then and Ed says, Directive 21. So I thought that was a fun, it's a fun scene. The makeup's amazing in this show, microdermal makeover.
Well, since we're talking about that, I do have a problem with Directive 21 because the fact that facial reconstruction is so easy and so perfect, it raises the question in these moments for true science fiction fans, not normies, but science fiction fans, of the plight of persecuted persons. Wouldn't it also be an option for Anaya to have her physical looks changed even when she's on Krill? Like, why didn't we have Claire go in and it alter her for the meantime or something like that? It sort of seems like cruel and psycho to have this sort of quote unquote wanted child, this wanted abomination that would surely be murdered or horrible things happen to the child, and yet we leave her there and she can never leave her house, but we have this beautiful reconstructive surgery. So I didn't like where Directive 21 was revealed because I think it asked too many questions or posed too many questions with regard to the plight of this Anaya, this beautiful Anaya creature who could have lived a normal life on Earth, or in the very least had her appearance significantly altered by Claire at the click of an instrument that is no bigger than your dentist drill. So I didn't like Directive 21, Mark.
Well, you don't know what.
They should just use those hollow projector things they used in the episode Krill.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was. I think it took a lot longer to do it because that's what they're doing. Kelly says, "Are you ready? You're ready." And they need more. They kept saying they needed more time, and it could be a top secret military. On the other side, it could be just available to the military. It's a top secret technology they don't want to reveal. That could be the potential. Other side, you don't know how. But of course, their medical technology is incredibly advanced. When Isaac cuts Gordon's leg off, they just grows a new one. So kind of like Deadpool. So Those are things, that you can really look into. Of course, as a casual viewing,
that signals you that this show is for normies. It's not for science fiction people, because science fiction people are like, "What are you doing? Hey, wait a second here. Wait a second here. What are you doing?"
Welcome, Adega Outlaw. Good to see you. Thank you for
Hey, Dega.
Yeah, and you forgot to mention that the president got stabbed. I thought, oh God, they're gonna kill him. I'm glad they didn't kill Bruce Boxleitner. But yeah, so there we go. We got the president back.
One final scene. There's one final scene, and I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to the fact that if you were my students in college, I would ask you to consider this last scene. Now, we talked about totalitarianism and we talked about fascist architecture, how it's really a thing. Now, the last thing that we see is we're back in San Francisco and we're on the balcony. Now, if you were my students and I was going to ask you to do an essay in social science, and you're in my social sciences class, and you were writing an essay for me, I would ask you to compare the balconies and unpack this idea of dark versus light, totalitarian architecture against this free architecture, and this play here. We had this terrible balcony that looked like it was the jaws of the devil, and here in this closing scene we have that exact same balcony, only we have all of this light. There's a beautiful clear barrier. Look at the semiotics here in the difference in the architecture and the fact that they were bold enough to put them on a balcony. And then what else do I have here? The Anaya question is raised and discussed. Ed says he will probably never see his daughter again. And then I put in my notes, what an effing clown. And then I said, Kelly says Anaya is in a safe place. She says, take heart, Ed. She's in a safe place. But Ed just finished telling the Admiral that Talea may kill Anaya or use her as some type of political pawn. So this is dumb writing. Once again, an editor should have come in and said, you can't do that. That sounds dumb. And then I've got creepy music as murder monster megalomaniac mom watches Anaya. So this is the final scene is this creepy music with a murder monster, megalomaniac mom watching this little Anaya who is going to spend her life in a room with a digital Rubik's Cube. So, Mark, I'm going to throw it over to you. What did you think of back in San Francisco on a glorious balcony with clear glass? Nobody's going to be sacrificed here. And the creepy murder mom.
Yeah, I'd like to move to this world or have a balcony like that. I mean, it's all not too subtle either. And then, of course, the krill, the nature of their planet, there is no light. So maybe that's kind of a subtle bias with us, too, in terms of how everything looks dark. But that's their natural state of being. So, of course, they would come here and think this is just horrible and full of suffering. But it is, it's a not so subtle contrast, here. We're the good guys. They're the bad guys. They're horrible. They've dark, depressing, oppressive
if you
architecture.
Embrace socialism, this is what you get. If you embrace capitalism, it's decadence. It's neon. It's dark. There's lechery.
Yeah.
Where are the homeless people, Mark?
There's nothing. There's no homeless. It's a perfect society. So
this is what I'm saying. So this is not a political statement on my behalf. I'm just speaking entirely academically here, completely intellectually. I just want you all to be aware of what you watched.
I hear you. And our good buddy PJ, thank you for that. You were too kind. The $5 super set says the real big question here is, guys, when Kelly says let's have breakfast, what time of the day is it, and what does that mean?
Surely you just.
I hope it's having pancakes.
I'll tell you this: it's definitely before 10:30. So McDonald's is still selling McMuffins if they decide to go that way. That's all I know for sure about that, PJ.
I'll have extra cheese, please, Clobby.
I hate getting to McDonald's at 11:01 when breakfast is over. Yeah. It's
They
like,
don't
where's
put extra cheese on McMuffins. Oh,
Yes, they do.
Okay. I'm sorry. That was asked earlier. I still had it starred.
oh, and Snail Messiah has an interesting point too. He said, "Oh, sorry, I can't see. I'm not watching the screen because I got the slideshow up." But you had a retroblasting quote you wanted to talk about.
I'm trying to. No. I already answered it. I'm just.
Okay. Oh, you just said, "Yep." But Snail Messiah is an interesting point.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with no sun, how does the krill homework keep warm? And that was another point too. Wouldn't the crew have been freezing? Because didn't they
When
say
they were
someone
standing
put
on
in
the
the chat?
balcony?
It's 5. Yeah, it's 5 degrees above freezing average. So, did they have heaters? Did they have special clothes they're wearing? They mention how cold it is and never address that practically in the episode in terms of the crew.
It's true. They don't even catch a chill, and they're on this severe fascist architecture. And Chris Persia has announced that it's time for champagne and crepes. I would just like to say, Chris Persia, I will be there.
There you go. Well,
so
okay. What
here
we do
are my
now is
parting thoughts.
go for your parting. Go for it.
This is a little bit dangerous writing like this because I believe it replaces civic engagement. I believe we live in a very connected world. And when you are allowed to have that catharsis, that public catharsis, or you're allowed to vote or display your politics without any true engagement or any true vote, you create like a voting placebo. And so I think it's a little bit dangerous to have this as a replacement for that mechanism. This episode walks the line between political propaganda and arts and entertainment. And that gets into what I was saying earlier, how, people are online and they're doing all of these mental and emotional gymnastics to fit themselves into other people's narratives or make excuses. But I just want people to be aware that there's a big difference between being an author and having something to say and being a corporation and having something to say. And that's the difference between somebody being outspoken and giving their opinion and a corporation, maybe 10, 15 of them run our entire world, shaping what you think and what you believe. And so I think that there's a danger in that. And I'm saying that as an academic. I'm not saying that as a partisan person. This is an entirely political episode. There's almost no science fiction in it. And I would also like to say that I cannot rate this episode because I believe it is a piece of political propaganda. It is a way of voting. It's a form of placebo civic engagement. And so whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, this is a declaration of which side you are on the aisle. And so I'm not going to do that with this episode. And I think that episode deserves that. This episode deserves that. And that's all I have to say.
Mark?
Yeah, I think they were too obvious with their politics. And as Jill had mentioned, as Jill had said last night in the Nerdporial chat, it was too obvious who they were talking about in this episode, which is bad. In terms of good writing, good science fiction, allegory that makes you think. It was just all too obvious, and I think the scene with the parents I thought was really very too heavy-handed. Although it did have probably the only sci-fi element in that one scene, but this episode is basically as Raquel said, a lot of political. Points of view are given, and one side is really made to look bad, and there's no nuance there to that character. There's no it's just presented as quote unquote a bad guy, and then you don't have any there's no redeeming qualities, and who they're talking about too, which is the problem that I have with it. It's not as you were talking about patterns of force before, where that's a social experiment gone wrong, terrible consequences. But that's not, you can't say that it's talking about someone, and that when that came out, you you didn't say, oh, that's a contemporary politician, or, you know, for example, the show we don't like to mention has, you know, had a current politician on the show at the end of the show. So that's what, you know, I didn't like. I mean, the acting is well done. The you know, the scenes, the special effects, the makeup, you know, it's a top notch show. But I think they were just too heavy handed in terms of, you know, Seth trying to get his point of view and message across, and didn't give you enough science fiction and allegory to kind of couch the issue, or make you think of both sides. They just made one side so obviously bad, while, you know, it's while being able to connect that to certain individuals or movements. I thought was a big miss there. There wasn't enough.
Well, a brave person would have taken
there.
any one of these dozens upon dozens of very weighty themes, and they wouldn't have behaved like a paper tiger. They would have tackled one of these issues. You start with The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, and you've got Little Orphan Annie. Then take responsibility for your daughter. If you really want to get into that abortion versus pro-life thing, then unpack it. Have enough guts to follow through with something you broached yourself, but to introduce an entire page, a handwritten page I have, of very weighty themes that are overt herein, and to only lightly touch upon them would be some of that hubris he was talking about, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there were no solutions offered. There was no, you know, everything was left hanging up in the air, and like you said, he didn't try to rescue his daughter, or try to even do anything. So that's really discerning as a character that you want to, you know, want to look up to or admire, and you know, you've got that Orville humor, but these are, you know, deep down, these characters have proven, you know, to be heroic in many other instances. So I thought that was a big miss for the episode, and I just hope it doesn't continue that way, because you know, it's just too easy of a swing to take at an issue with that, like you said, without making a final stand, or, in my opinion, you know, to come up with a solution, or showing what you know, what could be done, you know, and you know, Devil in the Dark and Star Trek, you know, there's you know, we're the monsters, right? As was we talked about before, but you find, you know, there's a solution in the end, and they work together. Then the miners are happier than ever, because they've got the Horde digging their tunnels now, and it's good times for everyone. But it does make you think, and that the Hoarder could be an allegory for, you know, someone who's disabled, or you know, any kind of
a bear and her cubs.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, so there's lots of different things. You know, there's different ways you could think about this episode. When I'm watching this, instantly I'm like, oh, that's Seth is pissed off at someone, and this is what he's gonna talk about. And whether you agree right or wrong, or don't like, you know, I'm not even saying politically. It was just too obvious. You know, and people always bring up the episode in Star Trek where the in the third season, the crew, the black and white on either side of their face, less battlefield. Thank you. And then people, oh, they're knocking you over that. I when I first watched that as a kid, that was very subtle to me, because I never noticed that for the whole episode, and that's the whole point of racism, where it's maybe you don't realize what you're doing and how ridiculous, and then in the end it's like, how ridiculous is it, how moronic, and then you think to yourself, well, yeah, racism is ridiculous and stupid, and why should we even think that way? And that, so people say, well, that was so obvious you could. I'm like, no, not. I think that was brilliant writing and brilliant characterizations, and you know, then they're going to fight for the rest of their lives just because of the, you know, the one was that color on one side or the other. But the first time you watch that episode, you might not even, I didn't notice it. So that's where I think good writing can send a good message, and have meaning, and say, hey, examine your beliefs, and maybe your beliefs, you know, could be wrong, or to show how beliefs could be, you know, incorrect or hurtful. And this episode, it's just one side is completely bad and has no no redeeming qualities, and it just maybe makes people more on either side more upset, I would think.
Yeah,
after
and I
watching
like
it.
that you raise this point because that's obvious here. One can say that objectively, and I would just like to say without without being rude, that it's just not enough to say that it's overthinking. No one here is looking for Jesus in the toast. These are things that are overt. Anyone could see them. You don't need special knowledge to see what's transpiring here. But taking it in stock and unpacking it and discussing it is certainly not overthinking. It's just stating the case, and it's unfortunate. It's very important that people realize that good science fiction discusses ideas, and people are quite hungry for episodic ideas. People have had quite enough of all of this, crying in hallways and talking about feelings in this serial way. And so you have this tiny little nugget of an idea, and you make people hold on for a full season, and then all people watch are people going through the motions of characters' feelings, and they don't even care about the characters. So definitely, if you saw anything tonight that was political, that was about abortion, that was about fascism, that was about totalitarianism, you're not overthinking it. I'm an academic. I don't play one on YouTube. I'm an actual academic. You can find me, and I'm out there. I'm accountable for what I say. I'm not anonymous, and it's definitely not overthinking. Think critically about what you're watching and what you're doing. This is not the same as reading a book with a very controversial author where you're having a personal dialogue. This is a corporate marketing and corporate storytelling, and you should be very aware of it and the contents of it. That's not overthinking. That's just good brain management.
Well, this is the first Orville episode, the very first time ever watching this show, and I've watched the first 2 seasons so many times, and then of course I held off for a while and then binged them, of course, right before the first episode of this season debuted a few weeks ago. I love the first episode of this season. I liked the second one reasonably. I thought it was pretty good. There were things, but it was an Orville episode. A lot to like in it, and in spite of some issues. And even last week, which we had, you had some criticisms, Raquel, and I had some. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I didn't walk away with a bad feeling. This is the first time when I got no joy out of it. I've never walked away from an episode angry before. Now, listen, Star Trek, as we all know, there are 735 of them if you count all the series. There are bad episodes of Star Trek, and there are episodes I can't stand, and that's fine. But there are 735 if you count all the series together.
Yeah.
There's a handful of Orville episodes, but still, that's a pretty good record that they have not, pissed me off before. So, that said, this episode, you pretty much nailed it all. Why I can't stand it. I just despise everything about the propaganda in it. I despise. Not only that, since we've already addressed all of that stuff, the academic stuff, let me give you a problem that has nothing to do with because the politics made me sick, especially the horrible abortion bit. But I'm going to leave that aside for a second. And I'm going to give you a problem that I have outside of that. So you don't think we're just beating up on the show for these academic or these reasons. One of the things that concerns me with all of modern television, as I mentioned earlier, is the lack of episodic science fiction adventures similar to what we got on the original Star Trek, the original series, and even TNG to an extent. And even, by the way, even sometimes on Deep Space Nine, there were arcs here and there, but they had a lot of standalone episodes. I understand TV just is not capable of doing that anymore. But I can't think of a bad episode of the Orville till now. This is my opinion, a horrible episode because the entire thing should have been scrapped. None of it was a good idea. The story was a bad idea. But my biggest problem is they're setting up all of these portents, all of these. Look, I loved Identity. Identity. even though I loved it, I'm going, do we need to start a war? Because you're going to start bringing it down the war road. It's not like you're going to do 20-something episodes a year like they used to have on TV. So a war thing, I was going to take up. I was worried about how that would affect the third season going forward. And are we going to get bogged down in story arcs and soap opera crap and all this other kind of stuff? And this show is starting to show a lot of signs of doing that. Arcs, relationship, story, stuff that really always detract from the science fiction of the series. And yet, I don't mind it if you're really, really good at it. Like the second season, there are a lot of character-related episodes, but they were really well run. They were really well written. They were good. And many of them still contained excellent science fiction ideas. I mean, it was just such a great show. They still have plenty of goodwill built up with me. What I'm saying is, I hate this episode, and I can't sugarcoat it. And I don't want to go down this road of every episode getting bogged down into all of these multiple story arcs down the road stuff. Like the second episode was okay, but it was set up for something coming later. Last week's episode set up for something coming later, and this whole episode was nothing but a foundation for crap coming later down the road. And I can't stand that kind of writing. I would rather see individual stories. The original series of Star Trek and TNG, I know I'm not supposed to invoke those, but they were, in a sense, it was an anthology that happened to have recurring characters in it. Which I know I know it's doublespeak. I know it's a contradiction, but I'm sorry. That's the best I can come up with right now. And I love that about it. And I want to see further adventures. It doesn't mean I don't want any continuity. It's fine to have some continuity. There's continuity in there's soap opera. And I love Babylon 5. It was a science fiction soap opera. Great show. Love it. I don't need that out of the Orville. And so just forgetting the absolute atrocity of the political drum beating in this episode, I just don't want the show to go, even if it didn't have that. Let's say it didn't have any of that, and it was just an episode that shows that we're going down that wrong road of all that. At least for me, I don't like it. I don't like the setup that we're looking at. So I hope the next episodes are great. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see the next one.
And don't be a coward. That's what I'm going to say as an academic and as a woman. I'm going to say that to the writers of this episode, because if you're going to bring up abortion, and you're going to talk about abortion, and you're going to bring up adoption, and you're even going to bring out little orphan Annie, you cannot have the title character who should be our hero walk away from that daughter. And you cannot have him admonish the woman and say, why did you have that child anyway? The impact of this type of speech on society. This is a very intimate thing. This is a very personal thing. This is a very polarizing thing. And if you really had the cojones to broach this topic, you should do it lovingly. You should do it gingerly. You should do it thoughtfully. You should do it thoroughly. And you should not behave like a coward. But don't table these issue after issue after issue, and theme after theme after theme that human beings have grappled with since time immemorial, and then you just walk away like this is an episode of one of your cartoons. That's not what we want to see Ed Mercer do. If Ed Mercer finds himself embroiled in a child that he didn't plan on, I'd like to see Ed Mercer stand up and take accountability for his daughter, especially when he's whining at the end that he's going to miss her and that he misses her already and he feels this connection to her. There's just something very cowardly and very insincere about this. And I've said this before and I say it again. Whenever you become didactic, whenever you over-moralize, whenever you partake in hegemony, whenever you decide that you're going to tell people that you're going to admonish them because they don't think like you, you better sure as F handle it in a way where people can take you seriously and know you're sincere. And I did not see this here. I am appalled, not by the politics, but by this storyline with the daughter, because if he stepped in it and then he walked away from it, and that was very cowardly, not even addressing all the political themes and all these other very weighty themes that deserved their own episodes.
Great point. We're kind of Hungry Boy's got to take off, so important call. So
all right, Hungry Boy,
Hungry
Boy.
Good night, Hungry Boy.
Well, I guess he's So I say good night. But
anyway, this was basically the Orville written by Twitter. That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, because Raquel, great point. Because if he says, "Why did you even have her?" is he inferring that she should have just been, thrown away, tossed away like a piece of garbage? But then he's supposed to be, he's not making his position look so sympathetic or
exactly.
And then he said, like as you said, but then he misses his daughter that he wishes was never there. I mean, it's just it's very difficult to reconcile those positions and also
cognitive dissonance, right, Mark?
Yeah, and in science fiction in the future, you would that issue would be much easier to avoid, I would think too. But yeah, it's just a shame they raised all these things. Yeah,
it said, "Why did you have her?" And then because they don't terminate children. Well, if they don't terminate children, how'd they have the abortion now?
Yeah.
Well, it was illegally
and also
done.
the sun will come out tomorrow. I mean, what was that all about? And that ties it all together here. We're really talking about abortion and adoption here, and we're really talking about parental responsibility. And we see Ed run away like the paper tiger that he is because somebody struck a match, and that match was responsibility. He could have taken that child. There are many different ways in science fiction that could have been conceived in the story, so there's no sense in making excuses for it. He should have taken responsibility and showed us what happens when a man finds out that he's had a child out of wedlock, especially someone of Ed's stature. And it was up to him to write that story, not to make excuses for the story that how people react to the story thereafter, but to write a story we can believe in and we can feel connected to and we can feel sincerity. Because if you're going to take out the large marge of storytelling, the big sledgehammer, and you're going to be didactic and hegemonic, you better make sure you're sincere. And I think people smell that something's not right. Somebody has a poopy diaper.
Yep. Well, there we go, folks. We've gone on for quite long on this one. Obviously, I want to thank we'll unspoiler in a second. Let's see. But PJ had something you wanted to say. It said there's a risk with Ed trying to get her out. And he also has just been introduced to this, all made in being shocked. Sure, no question about that. Here's the thing about this, PJ, though. I don't. It's just too early for conclusions. Well, yeah, but not about this one episode. I mean, the episode's over, so our only conclusions are about this episode that I've seen anyway. As this, to see where this story goes further, yes, but right now. But cannot derive absolute conclusions here. Well, only from the episode. I'm not doing it. So I know people. I'm not overthinking it either. I think it's I'm having a lot of turmoil over it. But what I would say is, I'm not. If I were arriving at an absolute conclusion, I would have said I'm never watching the show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
but we don't do that around here.
But if I did, I'd tell you, look, you know what? I'm not watching it anymore. But not the case. So no, I'm not doing that, PJ. And I'm just saying. So you're good, but I really do appreciate you. Look, I'll tell you what. I'll ask everyone now. I'm not going to bother rating it, but if I had to give it a rating, I'd give this one like a 1, and that's, I know it's shocking. Raquel didn't want to rate it. I don't know what Mark, you can rate it if you want.
Yeah, I would almost
rating,
have
a 1 to 10 rating. Please go ahead and put it in now. Retro Blasting says yes, I would watch The Way to Eden 1,000 times for watching this episode again.
Yeah. And
I want to thank Jill for saying that. What she said, starting to, I agree with Clobby Pop Culture. I know you've been seeing patterns, but it was all subjective until now. Yes. And now Pop Culture's been calling a lot of the stuff that's been going on. I understand how he feels about it. He's frustrated with a lot of this stuff. So anyway, go ahead, Mark. And then everyone, you can put there's Minimus here. Put whatever you rate this episode. I rated a 1. Look, Orville Relation, PJ, we appreciate you, my brother. We love you, man. And while you're all doing that, Mark, finish what you're going to say, and then I'll tell us our poll results.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, the politics of this episode, I give a 0. Just there was no good resolution. There was no good outcome. I like the action scenes. I like the rescue and some of the non really, and there wasn't enough sci-fi, but I think
Yeah.
the characters and some of the settings and scenery all well done. But and in terms of, if you're just gonna have a shoot 'em up episode, rescue episode, that's one thing. But then they interjected, as we've talked about, the politics, and I was just was unhappy with how that doesn't mean you can't be political, but I just didn't like the way it was handled. And but I have been working on my Orville ship, so here we're getting close. So I got the top engine parts on, so I've been sanding away and painting. So that's been coming along. So I'm working on that. So hopefully we'll get that painted. It's gonna be a tough ship to paint because the more I look at the details on the Orville, there's so many windows in different colors. It's not like Star Trek where you've got the old ship was just one gray color. So.
My buddy Retro Blasting, and hey Oliver, good to see you there. If we hadn't said hello to you before, he says, and we still got more show, folks. After this, we got a few more things we're going to be doing, but he says, I keep saying, and Andy Sedaris films are terrible, but they never let you down. Let the revolution towards honest trash cinema begin. Andy Sedaris, that's bad, bud. But please, if you have anyone who has not, please, by the way, if you're an Orville fan, or even if not, he has a great channel. He does other stuff as well. Please subscribe to PJ's channel at Orville Nation. Yay! Now,
and you're going to be mad at me through Collaborating Times. This got delivered today.
What?
We're going to lighten up the mood.
I'll get mad at. Oh, I'm going to. Man, dude, so what are you doing to me? So no one else. Did anyone else have any ratings? Okay, no one. That's fine. No problem. Here's the result of our poll. The poll, of course, asks, as we do each week now, what did you think of the new episode of the Orville Gently Falling Rain? The categories are, let's see. So at liked it at 54% in first place. In second place is it was meh. That's at 22%. Loved it comes in at 19%. And hated it comes in at 3%. So they have 31 votes. Thank you all for voting. Yeah, so it got some love and it got some like too. And which is I am nowhere near done with this show. I'm just and it doesn't bother me. Did you want to show that again?
Oh, sure, yeah. Let me.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me that there's an episode that pissed me off. It hurts a little bit because I've loved this show so much. Yeah. But I'm not giving up. And now next week, if it happens a little bit more, and look at this amazing, and look at that beautiful ship. This man 3D printed this with his replicator.
Yeah, I have my own replicator. Yep. So. And yeah, if anyone wants one of these, hit me up on Twitter, or this is the first one's an experiment to see how I'm going to paint it. I might have to print some decals or figure out some decals, but that's
you need to
the
put
fun of the 3D printing.
Some blazes, like some orange like fire stuff on the side of it, like
Hot Wheels.
Yeah, like
Optimus
Gordon,
Prime with flames.
Like Gordon said at the beginning of in the first episode, you should put some flames on the side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a special edition of flames. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cool ship. It's a great design, and it's a lot of fun. I wish they had some model kits that you could buy, but until then, you gotta make them yourself. So, but
that's cool.
That's been fun. Yeah. So,
how much does it weigh? Pop Culture's curator asks.
Oh, it's less than a pound, probably. It's not that, it's hollow. So it's, when you 3D print things, that's where the seam is. So it's, cut in half, and then it's all hollow because you want to have, use the least amount of plastic so you can print quickly. So each side took about 11 or 10 hours to print. We lost power at work. One print I lost, so had to restart. But fortunately, it was in the beginning of the print. So so it's a fun way to replicate some of your favorite things. So
Michael at Retro Blasting, yes, sir. He's I never. By the way, I've owned a lot. I've had a lot. I was in the car businesses for a while, as you know, but I've never actually had a Mustang. And our buddy Steve Mitchum has. And so yes, but what I'm hearing is that you're a Ford Mustang devotee, but this episode is a Mustang 2. You're not done with the Make a Mile, but this one's a huge letdown. That is
Oh,
one way to put
nice.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Mustang person too, so if you
yeah.
or which I'm going to, there's my 60.
I do like a
behind
Mustang
Wolverine.
now.
Guys,
Behind the Wolverine phone, there's my
guys,
well,
I'm
that's my
sorry to
67
interrupt,
Sugar
but
Club. Yep.
Michael Beacom's leaving. Could we all say goodnight to Michael Beacom? Sorry to interrupt you guys.
That's okay. Michael
Good night,
Beacom, thank
Michael.
you for
Yep,
being here
take
with
care.
us tonight, buddy.
And tell Cass we send our best. I hope she's feeling better. Good night, Michael. Thank you for supporting this show, and thank you for your lovely conversation. And yeah, tell Cass we said hello.
Thank you. I'm sorry Hungry Boy had to leave because we'll do our tripwire in a minute, in a few minutes. But what else you got going on over there? And let me see this mug that I'm mad at you for having.
I knew you'd be mad at me. Yeah. So
God,
I've wanted this
address.
for years. I do have your address. That's right. Yeah. So
No,
I'll have to get you one. I'll have to get you one too. Yep.
I don't mean Jay,
but this is one that Al on Twitter has had for years too. So
oh my God,
I'm like, it popped up on Fleabay, and I'm like,
good night, Ace Cast Iron. Take it easy, buddy. We're gonna be on for a little while longer, by the way. Everyone,
thank you for being here, Ace, and thank you for all those wonderful comments you made about our show earlier.
Thank you,
I read all the comments. Ace, I'm so happy that you're here. You know I love your company, and your positive feedback and stuff is just so kind, and it's so appreciated. Good night, sweetheart. Talk soon.
We'll be on for a little bit longer, but yes, it's slobbering time indeed. Dude, man, that is fantastic.
Sorry.
I want to know how much that was.
It wasn't that bad. It was only like $25. That's why I snapped it up. If there were two of them, I would have bought two and grabbed you one.
Look at
the next one I see. Next one I'll say I'm going to grab for you.
That's all right.
And this is in my will. If I go, you can have it. It's
I got to put this on the marquee. Look at this, guys. Look at this, Mark. Look at what Fancy put.
Coffee in time, yeah. So, but yeah, so you can have that and the thing sign. Yeah, I'll put that in my will. So
Damn,
that's going to you. Yeah. So sorry, I knew you'd be.
Nah, that's all right.
Like,
that's okay.
It's
you like being mean.
Yeah, but we both love Ben Grimm. So
yeah.
So
you got way more
that.
Ben Grimm.
And you can have all my. You can have all my.
With you anyway, because you have a place to put it, and you have far more toys than I do.
Well, you can have all my FF pops too. I'll leave those to you, right?
You're the one with the damn Ben Grimm and toy museum in your damn house. So
yeah,
it's better off with you.
Good fun, all in good fun. Yeah.
You get a drink out of it?
Oh, I am right now. Yeah, I got some coffee. I do have coffee in here. I can't have caffeine, unfortunately, doctor's orders. But yep, I got some coffee in here. So.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Hope you washed it.
I did. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, there you go. Well, Hungry Boy's not with. I think he had to run. Damn, but should I do triple hour anyway? I mean,
yeah.
Segment.
Do it. Yeah.
For those not familiar with our tripwire segment, because this is the clubhouse, we do all kind of crazy stuff here. Oh yeah, thank you. I give him shit about the stupid Funkos all the time, Retro.
Yeah, but my kids. What am I going to do? My kids just gave me Galactus and you know, I only have a few. I don't have a wall of pops. I have like 5 or 6 pops. So
I have friends who have given me stuff that has the filth on it, and they're completely unaware. So what I do is I actually keep it for like a couple of months. I don't put it on display, but I keep it because I'm just thinking, oh, that's so sweet. They love
they don't
me.
know, right?
What a wonderful and kind thing to do. And then something happens to it. The stuff, it just disappears. I don't know where it goes.
Michael, I give him enough crap about his Funko Pops, believe me, dude. So,
hey, PJ, we love you too. Please subscribe, like and subscribe,
right,
Orville Nation.
Definitely. Yeah, great channel.
Yeah, PJ, the man. There we go. And I believe they did their review of the episode already. Did you guys review it today? I'm not sure. Or was it? They didn't do it last night. I think they did it today. I was away from I think it was on with Tom at Midnight's Edge over there, and I don't know if anybody else, when everybody was reviewing stuff. But anyway, so yes, one of the things we do here on our CLOBBY'S Clubhouse on Thursday nights is there's an article. There's a magazine. It's a stupid ass website. Used to be a magazine called Tripwire. And we discovered a number of months ago that they had the audacity to make a thing called the top 101 greatest comics artists of all time, and they didn't consult me.
They put George Perez at 42.
46.
46? Was it 46? Oh my
They had him at
God.
46. Well, back when we discovered it, they were down to 59. They release one every week. And when we discovered it, I did a whole show counting, looking at their whole stupid list from 60 from 101 down to 59, and now every week we cover the new edition, and they're all the way down to number 31. Now bear in mind, this is a list of 101, and let me name you some of the names that have already been on this list, and we're only at 31. John Romita, Gil Kane, George Perez, Jim Aparo. I'd have to look at my let me see some of the list, some of the names again that are already on this damn list, and it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now here we go. Let me find my list of it here. Well, I should have pulled it out. So where are you? Where's my list? Where's my list of lists? Where are you? Oh, well. Anyway, I don't know where the hell it is. Oh, yeah. Who's some of the other ones? Where are you?
Yeah, it's been that list has been a total mess.
Okay.
I mean,
yes. So these idiots, they've had Murphy Anderson already. Retroblast. Dude, you shouldn't have done it. You're too kind, man. Oh my goodness. My retroblasting friend, and this is our 2nd anniversary on YouTube tonight, folks. By the way,
congratulations!
I moved to YouTube 2 years ago tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for giving us all these great shows, and interrupt you for a second, but we really appreciate you, and you've been a great friend to me, and it's just been a lot of fun being on here. I always appreciate being asked to be on these shows, and it's I'm joking, but I am leaving you my thing mug in my will and some other stuff.
Yeah.
God forbid, right?
Well, thanks, dude.
But in all seriousness, no, you've been it's a great community here, and your knowledge. You always say you don't know what you're talking about. You're probably one of the smartest guys I've ever talked to, and you do. So
appreciate you, buddy.
I'm making you blush, but Raquel and I appreciate everyone out there in the chat. Appreciate you, and that's why we keep coming back. The first time I said it over and over. The first time I listened to your show, I'm like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. And it's like being back in the old comic book shop that, unfortunately in my area had closed down. So, just retroblasting. That's such a nice message there. And
thank you, buddy.
We appreciate you. And I know you hate hearing this stuff, but
you and I have been hanging out on my show. No, you and I have been hanging out now on the show for well over a year. So, and I appreciate you, man. We've done had a lot of fun. And, I'm going to embarrass the shit out of you when you have an anniversary.
Guys, guys, I have to interrupt, and I hate it. Please excuse me. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. But our Chris Persia has to leave. He says, it's 1 a.m. here, and I have to go to the store to get some eggs so I can make crepes for breakfast. I love you. Have a wonderful night, everybody. And thank you, Clobby, Raquel, Mark, and the chat for the great discussion. Chris Persia, mwah, mwah. I love you, buddy. You.
Retroblasting says, thank you again, Michael. I appreciate that. I tried to get to your answer as soon as possible, but I keep getting rudely interrupted by certain people who are now going to the agony booth. So.
How dare we give you compliments?
Yeah, stop being nice to me.
Come on, cut it out.
Anyway, he says, my dear friend Mike, now you're going to make me blush, Michael. What the hell's wrong with you, with these people? For keeping me company all these years with great discussions to listen to, infused with thought and knowledge. No, dude, I learned from the best, and that's you, man. Your videos are fantastic. Of course, everyone here, you may already be subscribed to Retroblasting, but if you're not, please do. And of course, we got Iconicon coming up. Michael French has been one of my dearest friends and his wonderful wife Melinda for well over a decade now. And we've streamed together. We've been on my BTR show together. We've streamed here together for the longest time, and yet still. One day he's going to torture me with a certain movie we both have to watch, but I won't say what it is.
It's a big surprise. Yep.
But anyway, Michael, thank you, brother. I'm glad. Thanks for being out there, buddy. Thanks for always being there, man. And this tripwire list, for those who don't know, in between 101 and 31, which is what we're at now, they've already had names like Murphy Anderson, Jim Aparo, C.C. Beck, I'm just naming a few of them now. Carl Barks, George Perez, Gil Kane, Maurice Severin, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Nick Carty, and congrats to 2 years and many more. Sorry I missed your show. I'll put my money to a channel that is so. Apolomies, Minion and Pupper for $20 super chat. You were too kind. I'm not worthy. I mean, thank you for that. I don't know what to say. You were just been a wonderful friend of the show, and of course I love that wonderful painting or piece of art you made for me. It's not necessarily a painting, but you know what I mean. The picture you made for me is wonderful. I love it. It's framed, of course. Well, you framed it, but it's hanging. And thank you so much. You were just too amazing. Thank you, Ptolemy, and I hope you and the pupper are being safe and doing well. Love the pupper. Love to the pupper. Nick Carty, Brian Boland, Alex Toth. Just to give you an example of some of the names that are already that low on this freaking list. So here we go with the new one. Now, Hungry Boy and he did mention something earlier. This is a fine artist. How is it 31? I don't want to say anything bad about the Golden Age artists. I love the Golden Age artists. But it is a little high. At every respect for this artist. So I always have to just like last week. God, it was Milton Caniff. He probably should have been higher. So here you go. They got Craig Flessel. Again, no one's going to know who he is. He's a Golden Age artist, but I have every respect for him, and I like his work. So here you go. And this is a guy that worked at the dawn of the comics age. He started working in 1935, whatever it was. I mean, he did a lot of pulp covers. He did some of the early issues of Detective Comics. Fine artist. A great artist. Absolutely. Certainly better than some of the other ones that they've already put on this list before him. However, I mean, what George Perez did, I'm sorry. But still, this is number 31, entry number 31 on the Tripwire all-time 101 comics artist lists.
Do you think they're picking these artists and rating them so highly on this list just to kind of, we know our artists, we know what we're doing here, picking, not that he's a good artist, but like you said, to compare him to, the body of work and a George Perez. I mean, there are older artists that are overlooked, I'm sure, by, people that just know modern comics, but
I wish I knew their criteria. I really do. Snail Messiah, thank you so much for that $20 Danish krona, as they call it, I believe, or whatever. If I got that right, what's it called?
I think so, yeah, just Danish kroner.
And of course, the great Snail Messiah, who was kind enough to send me some comics, some great some Beetle Bailey comics from over his way, and I'll never forget that. Thank you so much, Snail. I appreciate that. So yeah, there's entry number 31 for what it's worth, folks, and great artist, no question about it. As you'll notice, though, he made a living doing covers for pulps and stuff like that, and doing comic strips. So
he wasn't a well-known comic book artist then.
I mean, for the time he was.
Yeah.
For the time he was, but yes. Danish kroner, that's how he says it. Thank you so much. Oh man, you're all too kind. Thank you again so much, all of you, for that. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much there, Snail Messiah. I'll take what's that? I think Raquel is indisposed.
Yeah, Raquel will be back, but
so I wish Hungry Boy had been here to see
I'm
that.
Here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, yeah,
I'm just
because
listening, and I'm also reading the chat, and I'm just drinking my tea, and it's loud every time I put my cup down on the table, so I just didn't want to disturb you while you were talking.
Because you have that other thing like mug, right?
No, I'm actually drinking out of a cup called Top of the Morning to You, and it's got Irish stuff all over it.
Nice. Nice. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So let's see here. Well, anybody else have anything they want to talk about, or should we start talking about some future here? In other words, what we're gonna any upcoming topics. By the way, our friends who are here with us tonight, take the opportunity, throw some topics out there you might like for us to cover on the Clubhouse. Obviously, we're going to continue to review the Orville. I'm going to do my tripwire thing, and Mark shows stuff from time to time, but sometimes, and Raquel's always great at coming up with something, even when we're not reviewing, but since we're reviewing that of course fills up a lot of time. But if you got anything you'd like us to cover, please let us know.
Yeah, we're always up for a challenge. Boss man, I start a comment by the great nerd, my nerd,
Jill.
my fellow nerd, anti-derivative Jill. I love this comment. She says, Mercer went undercover on a krill ship in the pursuit of peace, but when it turned, he saved the kids and more that doesn't even cover half of season 1. Jill, I love that he saved those kids and was not interested in being a father. And some people will make excuses for what happens inside of the text. But I want Seth MacFarlane to account for what happens outside the text. So in other words, he built that world. He built that story where he talks about abortion and adoption, but leaves his own daughter to be raised in a house with virtually no stimulation except for a digital Rubik's Cube and lots of toys and someone to feed her. What is she, a puppy? And even a puppy you take for a walk. So yeah, I think it's weird, and I want him to not do that. If he's going to take on these super polarizing, super heart-wrenching, horrible topics that make people be, absolutely awful to one another, he cannot behave like a paper tiger. Either he's in it or he's not. So I love that you brought that up, because he did save all those krill children, but in this episode he didn't even have the cojones to save his own.
That's
the other
very
thing
good point.
Great point, Raquel. Yeah. The other thing I do have to show eventually, I've been I have had these by my desk for a while, but some of the old fan club issues. So one of them. One night we'll have to go through some of these. And I know Raquel would love to see. I've got a stack of these. You could show some some on this next one. Raquel is gonna kick me for not if I don't send it to her. But it'd be fun to go through some of these articles. And this next one, this is gonna get you're not
nerdgasm.
Oh my!
Oh, that's my guy.
I think I had that one.
Yeah.
Hello, handsome.
Issue
I'm pretty sure about that one. 84.
Yep.
Yeah,
I did not get to meet him, but if I would have met him, oh man, I would have said, "Hey, can I kiss your face?"
Knowing Gene, not like I really knew him for real. Unlike certain people we know who really knew him.
He would have said yes.
He would have said, "I have no problem with that."
Yep.
I'm going to speak for Gene on this one.
Oh, I love him so much.
So that was so much fun too to subscribe. I guess
burn those Funko Pops, Larry said.
Yeah, my kids are gonna cry. You know what? That was that burning the pops we just got them.
Me this time.
Yeah, and the final voyage of Captain Kirk.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, BC's having a tipple. Good for you, BC. Cover. Plus Valley Pickers having a tipple, folks.
Yeah, if I burn this guy, my kids are going to be very upset.
No, don't. Don't.
Is that a Funko?
No, it's not. That's the only
not
good
a Funko
one.
Pop.
I don't think that's a Funko. Is it?
It is actually. It's the only good one in existence.
It's tough for me to actually pick out a Funko sometimes because they're always in the box. Nobody takes them out of the damn boxes.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're just boxes.
You got to set them free. Yeah, the dust collectors.
Toys. Like the great Michael French says, they are dust collectors. I quote him all the time on that. I quote you on that one, Michael, because it's true. And they're just boxes.
I just pulled this one out because I'm keep trying to get you to do your Gorn voice. That's the only reason.
No, because he does it. That's it.
That's all right. No, it's a special occasion because I watched Arena the other night. I should be merciful, Captain Kirk. I didn't know your name in the episode. Mark, let me tell you something. Funkos are for sissies. and I shall not be merciful when I destroy all of your Funkos.
Yep. He's my buddy. Yep.
That Gorn.
Yep.
That Gorn. That's a new
See, that was worth it for that purchase. Yep.
an NBC spin-off of Star Trek. That silly Gorn.
Gorn and Son.
That darn Gorn. Bum, 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 bum.
You're Gorn and done it now.
Starring Ted Cassidy.
Sorry, Mark.
Oh, that was a gooder.
I love that you say gooder like a Canadian.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I wish I had been the captain of my old ship.
They should have made, where he was.
I'm Captain James T. Kirk Gordon.
I mean, the Gorn should have had his. I mean, he had his own ship, but I mean, we should have saw him like on the bridge and stuff.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah. Well, at least now this new Worm show is going to show us all the history of the Gorn
Probably,
that we didn't know before.
Dude,
Where no Gorn has gone before. Yeah.
where no Gorn. Yes, that strangled dude Worms is Carbaggio.
We got to keep our blood pressure down tonight, right?
Max Redstone. He says Funko Pops are autons. It's a trap. Do not fall into the Nestine consciousness. Yeah, some prime Doctor Who references there. Love it.
Nice.
Yeah, the autons are underrated Doctor Who villains, in my opinion.
What if you have Funko Pops of Doctor Who? That's the conflict there. Yeah,
They probably made.
They must have made Who Pops, right?
How would you do a Funko Dalek?
I don't
Right.
know.
That would look weird.
That'd be
But there
interesting.
probably
Yeah.
is one.
They
Yeah.
must have made them. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they have everything, right? That's what we love making fun of them, but I love, you're a collector, but you go to some places and it's just walls and walls of Funko Pops and boxes. It's like, it's so boring in my opinion, boring to look at.
What's
at least,
worse
the
is
few that
at
I
the
have
con
is out.
when there's like 5 people that have those walls you're describing.
Yeah.
It's like, do we
yeah.
need 5 of you here?
Oh my god, the cons is really annoying because you walk by a con and there's like 50,000 of these suckers. Like these Funko tables full of, and I know my good buddy Fat Steven's not here because he gets mad at me when I pick I pick on Fat, when I pick on the Funkos, but when I see him at a con, I'm like, I don't want to go to that table. Well,
No.
they're all over. I look, whatever, buy what you want. I mean, it's just, here's another thing. They just don't look cool. I get people think that for people who just think they genuinely look cute, and I'm not trying to be sexist here. If a lady thinks they look cute or whatever, but if a dude thinks they look cute, whatever. I don't care, but they're not action figures. And they're caricatures. I get it. Caricatures look fine on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. And actually, I think the real problem is there were Mighty Mugs. Remember those?
Yeah. Mighty Mugs. Yep.
We never get a ROM toy, but we got a ROM Mighty Mug. I want to punch somebody in the throat for that.
Yeah. Why don't they bring back ROM? That'd be so
Listen,
cool.
a throat punch
Exactly.
is serious.
I want to punch their earlobes.
Love it. I have one Funko Pop.
Yeah, I have none.
Only one, but I made an exception, but only one.
Which one?
And it is Mirror Universe Spock.
Well, at least it's real Trek. Huh? Yeah. No, look.
I have the Mirror Universe Spock, and he's very cute, and that's the only one that I need. I don't need oodles and poodles of them. Although I will admit, I don't like Funko Pops because they're just things that you have to dust. And I'm not big on the caricatures, but I will tell you this. I do like your Gorn. I'm not ashamed of my Funko Pop Mirror Spock.
Oh, there we go.
I love him, but your Gorn, that's a pretty cute little Gorn.
Yeah, when I saw him, that was one of the few ones I've bought. So
Yeah.
I thought he looked funny, and then because a lot of these are caricatures, like you said, and they don't look good. And then if you have, I've got a bunch of shelves in my room. If you had, just a shelf all of Pops, it's you gotta.
It
just doesn't look stupid.
And nobody ever takes them out of the box.
Yeah, I'd like taking the toys out of the box. So,
Yeah.
and I do have a Cara Dune one.
too.
I did buy the Cara Dune Funko Pop when that came out.
I think the Kubros are better. Like if you're going to go for caricature,
The Woody?
I think the Kubros is the way to go because the Kubros is a 3D puzzle. You have to put it together, and it's got that same caricature feel to it. It's got the bobblehead and stuff, but all the details in it, and at least it's a 3D puzzle. So if you don't
You
like
had this. You had the Spock one, Raquel, I think, or
I have two of the Spock ones. One is opened and put together, and one is untouched. Then I have two of the Wharf. One is opened and put together, and one is untouched. And then I have the gold standard, which is really hard and super expensive to get to Canada. I have the Picard. I have the Picard. I only have one copy of it because it's insanely expensive to buy in Canada. And please don't, people in the chat, please do not send me something that you found on Amazon where it's $5, because try cashing out. That's not the way it works. You have to pay import fees. You have to pay in American dollars. You have to pay the shipping. It's really expensive. So anyway, I can only afford the one Picard of the Kubros. And so I'm not opening yet because I think I paid, I don't know what I paid. I want to say $60, but that might be
What
outrageous.
kind of toy is? What kind of figure is that again?
It's not a figure. It's a 3D puzzle. It's
almost like a Lego, maybe.
It's actually
Lego-esque.
between a
Lego-esque.
puzzle and a model.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So it comes with instructions, and there are model pieces that are integrated into puzzle pieces. So it's not so much like Lego, than it is more like the super expensive 3D puzzles you see at the game stores mixed with a model.
Okay.
And so I love them, and they're fun.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
But you have to be careful opening the bag, because if you open the bag wrong, you can't recognize the pieces like you can with Lego. You're effed if you open the bag and you like lose the tiniest little thing, right? So, but I love them.
Phantom Outsider, for that bad joke, doesn't Leslie Gorn sing Gorn's part? Okay. I'm gonna have to ask you to take your hand now, reach it right behind the back of your head, reach it over back behind your head, and then wham, smack yourself on the back of the head, because I can't reach you. So for that bad joke to Leslie Gore, saying, I'm sorry, but I can't put you in the agony booth from here, so I'm going to trust you on your own recognizance that you will indeed smack yourself up backside the head for that one, brother.
Yeah, Maximus Redstone. Like how some people will like pull the bag, or some people will like bite the bag to open it, like the little pieces. You have to cut the bag open, and you should put it on like a TV tray or like a serving tray, because there are unidentifiable pieces that make it more like a 3D puzzle than a model. And so it's like a mixture between the two of them. And Kubros, I believe, only made Spock, Worf, and Picard. So there are only 3 of them, and they're really, really super hard to get in Canada. So I would love to put my Picard together, because I love models. Like I'm not a geek, I'm a nerd, but I will tell you, man, I did really enjoy models when I was a young girl, back when we could barely afford that kind of thing. I come from very modest means, but I do like puzzles. I do like me a good puzzle.
Indeed, yes. This.
Did Mark go on mute because he's gone to go get something fun?
Did he?
I don't know. Let's keep chatting, because if I know Mark,
I don't know if he did.
I thought I had Kubrick close by. I was listening to my headphones.
A Kubros? Go get a Kubros.
No, it's not. It's here. I'll just show you what I had an Iron Man, but that's not a Kubros. I don't think.
No, that's not Kubros.
That's not. But I think I have this. I think I have Wharf somewhere. But yeah,
I remember when you bought
Yeah.
Wharf, and I told you to open it up and put it together.
Yeah. So I don't know where did Wharf end up. I don't know. I got too much stuff in here.
I don't know, but I love him, and I love his little, like my Spock even has like a tricorder, and it's so, it's great.
I might have put him back in the attic. Not a lot of room.
Why?
Left.
He should be out. He's so cool.
Well, I rotate things. You take some things out, then you rotate them. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. You got to keep on rotation.
So you get to enjoy them. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to do before we do get out of here is, because this is important, because we got something coming up in a week. I put the Iconicon online web address, can't even talk, link in my. Did you have something, Mark? Would I cut you off? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. All good. No, I was just I thought I had one of those figures handy, and I didn't. So, thank you. Nope, all good.
I don't know if you're still there, Michael, Retro Blasting, or Melinda. I hope I have your permission to do this. I want to show. Are you guys? You have the schedule on your site, so I'm assuming it's public. I want to tell everybody about the Iconicon 22 schedule, because there's some amazing stuff on there and some amazing panels that I hope you will all go see. So it's all. I'm going to go ahead and assume they don't mind. I mean, I hope they don't. But I mean, like if it's okay, I'd like to show the schedule to everybody. It's on this. If that is the right one on the site, right? I mean, they can correct me if I'm not, but it is on the site. So, Iconicon 22, folks, has an amazing schedule of panels, and of course, they're streams, of course, because it is a virtual con, just like it was last year. For some of you may remember it from last year. And so let me just run down it really quickly, if I could, if you don't mind, everyone, and then we'll get at it. Of
course, yep, that's gonna be a lot of fun. Yep.
Of course, there's a meetup if you're up in that area, of course, but you can find that on the site. So just go to the site and hit schedule. But here, and again, I guess I don't know if Michael's still there, but it is pretty late over there.
I want to live close to all of you so that I can go to the meetup.
You'd love it.
Boo, Canada. Boo.
I'm tempted to drive to the meetup, but it's not that far. And surprise them.
Do it.
Opening ceremonies are not at 9 a.m. Now, these times are relative. It'll tell you on your, for example, I think everything, well, it just depends on where you are. When I say 9 a.m., I'll just say what they are basically, and you can check, make sure your
central
is
time
correct.
Mike is in central time, right? Yep.
But our friends at the con, our friends who run Iconicon are actually Eastern time. But you could. I think the site gives you whatever time zone you happen to be.
It knows your time zone. Yep.
Yes, if I'm right, but just double check. So I'm just going to go that it knows. I'm Central Time, so I'm just going to say the opening ceremonies are 9 a.m. That's going to be on. Let's see. That's going to be on the. Sorry. Okay, Wednesday, June 29th, opening ceremonies at 9 a.m. Then at 9 a.m. to 10 o'clock. At 10:30. Masters of the Universe Vintage Toys Origins. At 11 a.m., revisiting House with Ethan and Wiley and Simon Barber, people from the film and worked on the film. Of course, House, if you remember that old from movie, and that's going to. Oh, by the way, I'm an idiot. The opening ceremonies will be on the Retro Blasting channel. Premiere of Master of the Universe Vintage Toys Origins will be on Chasing 80s Toys. On the
Chasing 80s Toys will include Scuba Pete, right, boss?
I believe he is. I don't know if he's in that panel or not, but I believe he is a member of that channel.
He's a member of that channel. He is a member
of Chasing 80s Toys. So you get to tune in. So the first day you get to see Michael and his beautiful wife, and then the second day you get to see Scuba Pete. Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete. Now always have trouble pronouncing. It says Mubi Abulet. Is that how you say it? Abulet?
Abulet.
I say that is correct.
Abulet. Abulet. I mean, that's tough for me to. Is that right?
Well, it could be Abulet.
Abulet. I don't know. Melinda can let me know. I'll get her. I'll ask her next time I talk to her.
Ooh, correct me. Well, I can't really see the letters because I'm old and I'm tilting my head up with my Bible.
I think it's Abulet. I think it's Abulet.
Spelling is Oubliette.
Yeah.
I think it's Abulet.
Yeah. Ooh. And then on Analog Toys at 1 p.m. will be the premiere of Action Man 007 from Hasbro with Love. From our British friends on Retro Blasting at 2 p.m.
Ooh, it could also be et, like as in like netiquette.
Obulet, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm butchering it, I will ask.
Anyway,
many apologies.
Sorry.
We try.
2 p.m. will be at Rad, a conversation with star Bill Allen from the film Rad from the 80s, the bicycle film, the bike film, which I do remember. Though I don't know if I ever saw it, but I know it. It's a film that a lot of 80s nostalgia here. This is amazing. On Analog Toys, Next would be premiere The Real Desert Rat from 3:45 p.m. to 4:45. On Analog Toys again after that, Mego Planet of the Apes toys with Brick Mantooth. I love those. I never was able to get any of those. I don't think I have too many of them anyway back then, but I don't have any anymore. That's for sure. Toy Connections is next up at 7 p.m. with expanding the range fan-made figures. And that again, the 6-7. And then the final, I think the final of the evening is, of course, Endless Bullets podcast. Endless Bullets versus Celebrity Deathmatch. So there you go on that one. And then on Thursday the 30th, premiere on G.I. Joeberg channel, 7 a.m. Wow, early. Premiere. Well, of course, these are all over the world, you know. So G.I. Joe Mauler Tank remote control upgrade at 8 a.m. on the Retro Blasting channel. Triple Threat, the Iconicon game show. At 10 a.m., 2 Cent Toys premiere Remembering Toys R Us. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking for all of them are fantastic, of course. At 11 a.m., World Class Bullshitters hosts Superheroes for the 90s, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. G.I. Joe Playset Special at 1 p.m. on Chasing 80s Toys. It's the premiere of that special.
Scuba Pete.
The next one I dedicate to the wonderful First Officer Raquel at 2 p.m. on Movie Abuelet, Restoring Star Trek, the Motion Picture Director's Edition in 4K. And they got a couple of gentlemen.
Awesome.
They've got two of the gentlemen, David C. Fiend and Mike Matissino, I believe, who worked on that. So that's
but it's cool. On at 2 p.m. too. It's not on at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So
for you, bravo, probably like 12.
I will be at that.
I'll make sure you get the proper time because for you it might like be 12 or something. So I'll let you know.
That's marvelous.
When it's on, I will get you the word out to you.
Thanks,
we'll
Captain.
check the schedule. Yep. Yeah, we'll make sure you don't miss that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Yep.
That looks great. I mean, Melinda's going to be on that, I believe. She loves the motion picture as much as we do.
Yay!
Toys is the next one to see on the Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse premiere, the resurgence of Sergeant Slaughter action figures. Then on the Retro Blasting channel at 5 p.m., the Monster Squad conversation with Andre Gower, who was, of course, the kid from that film. If you remember that movie, The Monster Squad, anyone remember?
Yeah, great movie. A lot of
Here's
fun.
one that is fantastic that I think on the Retro Blasting channel. You're a Spider-Man fan. Documentary premiere, My Complete Spider-Man Story. Michael's a big Spider-Man fan. You've got to see that. It's going to be great. And then on this humble channel that is completely unworthy.
Don't say that.
We're going to try anyway. It says 8 p.m. That is my time, so that's why I think this, but it's 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm pretty sure. I'm getting confused with all these time zones, folks, but when you look at the site, it'll work it out for you. On Clobbering Times, it is Toy Comics. Again, joined by the great Michael French, Matt Swafford of Endless Bullets, and, of course, Jeff Barker of Chasing 80s Toys. Friday, you've got premiere of Desert Rat, Style Trooper React to Retro Blasting on Analog Toys. The Attitude Era of Wrestling on Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse. Go through these real quick. Wow, this one. The premiere of Tour of USS Flag on Chasing 80s Toys. I know Scuba's on that one. Scuba's got to be on that one there.
Good night, Pop Culture Curator.
Good night, Pop Culture.
Thank you for your kind comments.
Later on the Retro Blasting channel on 11 a.m., Star Wars figure designer Jim Swearigan. Wow, and I mean the vintage stuff. Endless Bullets podcast is later with the premiere of Endless Bullets Dead Heat with Movie Abuelet. That's the old movie with Joe Piscopo and Treat Williams. I don't know if you all remember that one from the 80s, getting deep 80s right there. Toy Collecting US versus UK on Universal Shabby Toys at 2 p.m. The Last Starfighter, the premiere of The Last Starfighter, The Importance of the Hero's Journey on Matt Movies 611 at 4 p.m. The Best 90s Movies Soundtracks on Movie Abuelet, that is at 5. Wow, I love this one. History of Godzilla Toys on Tokyo Toy Boston
Very
at
cool.
7 p.m. I'm going to watch that one. I love
What a
Tokyo
name
Toy.
of a channel, you guys.
Tokyo Toy Best. I love it. My son, look, I mean, I bought him all the Godzilla toys in the 90s and stuff. That's going to be a cool one. Not all that glitters is gold. Movie toy tie-ins on 2 Cent Toys at 8 p.m. And then at the next day, on that Saturday, they got a bunch of stuff on Saturday as well. G.I. Joe, 40th anniversary. War Stories, Rambo on Analog Toys. Both of those are on
Scuba Pete will
Analog
definitely
Toys.
be there for that one. I know that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's on Analog Toys, but he still probably will be there. On 2 Cent Toys, you've got Premier 90s Joes for your consideration. You've got a lot of G.I. Joe going on. And this is one that Melinda is flipping out over. I know you are, Melinda. You were so excited about this one. She's a big horror fan, of course. And she loves the movie Candyman. And on Movie Obolette, she's going to have
Candyman,
the director Bernard Rose, and Tony Todd, Candyman himself, the great actor Tony Todd. Yeah, but he's Tony Todd.
You could ask him Star Trek questions. Raquel.
Too scary.
He's Tony Todd, though. I don't.
He was
even
great
like
as a Klingon.
He was great as a Klingon.
I love Tony Todd. Man, that guy's fantastic and everything. SWAT Cats, Radical Squadron. That'll be on 1 p.m. Central, or 1 I think Central. Leo Convoy's reviews. At 2, Valaverse has 80s action movies, villains, the good and the bad. Next, Retro Blasting has Reclaimers, Vintage Toys Charity Auction. And then later at 5, movie, why it works and why it doesn't, on 2 Cent Toys. Capitalism Killed the Dinosaurs on Cold Crash Pictures. And 3POA has Kenner versus Power of the Force. I know who wins that one. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Then on Sunday, Battle Royale for the 1990s toy aisle on 2 Cent Toys. G.I. Joeberg has premiered The Renegades, The Complete Saga. Transformers in the 90s is we on Leo Con. Then premiere Beast Wars on Leo Convoy. After that, Leo Convoy's Reviews is the name of the channel, of course, by the way.
Good night, BC.
Game show. Good night, BC. Game show, old school Star Wars on the Retro Blasting channel. Looking forward to that one. Premiere Deep Cuts Highlander 2 movie Obolette dedicated to the great J-Man. You hear this later, dude. There's no way I'm letting him miss this one.
Don't make me ugly laugh. That's like the 3rd time tonight, Clobby.
They're calling it Deep Cuts Highlander 2 sequels that suck. Boy, does it ever.
Oh, the horror.
Then
Can I be on that panel for 30 seconds to scream?
I'll call him. I'll see what I can do.
I've never heard you do that before, Mark. That was pretty funny. And like you could actually detect actual anguish in your voice. You're like, oh, the horror.
And finally, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1998 toy movie review with special guests. Valaverse. That's on Valaverse. And then premiere Everybody is Somebody's Favorite on 2 Cent Toys. And then closing ceremonies on the Retro Blasting channel. Please, everyone. You have the link in the chat. Again, I'll put it in one more time.
We'll keep tweeting it out. It's going to be in the Clubhouse Discord, which I'll post to. We'll make sure we have it there.
Oh, thanks, dude. And so it's going to be a big, fun time. Now, we will do another little show note. We'll say goodbye.
Okay.
If everyone's ready.
Yep.
Again, Iconicon is a week from tonight. And my panel, of course, is before that. It's Wednesday, but as my panel will be a week from tonight. I think 9 Central. I'm so confused now.
Look at that great poster. Did you notice how there's no apostrophe on the 80s? This person speaks English very well. Love you.
Where?
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh.
Whomever did that. Thank you for not putting an apostrophe there.
Yes, the apostrophe police are
Grr. Arg. I'm the possession police.
Oh, you nutty.
But, whenever you say a family's name, like the Jones are coming over for dinner and apostrophe S, and like that always that must kill you, Raquel, when you see that, right?
Yeah. It kills me. Give me your Klingon paint sticks right now.
Saturday Night Star Trek returns. I mean, it was here last week, but it returns to reviewing. Only 3 episodes this week, folks. And then after that, then the week after, we will be rounding up TNG and finishing all that up. So
Dun,
looking
dun,
forward
dun,
to that.
dun.
Same Trek time, same Clobby channel.
Is that going to be on? Is the review show going to be on 4th of July weekend?
What?
I don't know.
It is
The
yeah.
week after.
No.
The
Yeah.
following
Oh,
week.
yeah. That is. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have fireworks that night because our town is too cheap to have
Wow.
fireworks on the 4th of July.
We'll have
So
to-
we have our
we
fireworks
can't
and a
make it,
party
then
that night.
Maybe you can make it late or something.
I'll do a special. Well, the fireworks are over relatively early anyway, but
We'll be going
yeah,
late. So if you can pop
I
in when
know,
you can. So
I'll just. Why is it so noisy when Mark is on the show?
Hey, Mark.
that's fine. We can listen to
I
fireworks.
shouldn't bring this up on air because I should ask the captain first. But maybe I'll just bring it up and then we can talk about it. But I'm not putting on pressure on anyone or suggesting anything. But can I ask you to talk to the boss off camera, like off air, about maybe doing a watch party for the movies?
Oh, sure, yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah,
It's just like I really enjoyed that. Like I thought that was really
Yeah,
great.
great.
Like I really enjoyed it, and I love that Clobby was there with me.
well, that was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
It's just a matter of scheduling seems to be the tricky thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'd love
because
to do that
people were
again. Yeah.
asking Clobby and I questions, and we were answering them like directly, like in the chat and stuff. And
Fun.
I thought that was kind of fun. But I just thought that might be an element that we could add to our community engagement when it comes to bringing an iteration to a close. And we always close every iteration with the films. So I just thought, since you have that mechanism, and now that you've perfected it, I like watching movies with Clobby.
Well, I
Oh, it was great.
loved
Yeah,
it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was great. You know, I love that you do stuff like
Well, for
that.
people who
And
weren't there,
you're such a good
we
friend
watched.
to all of us.
Oh, well, we watched the motion
Appreciate it.
picture in 4K.
Yeah.
Using an app where you could have a watch party, and then we came back for a chat on YouTube, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's great to have that give and take in the chat, and talk about the movie and a lot of questions, and it was just, and plus it's such an awesome movie to see. And
But you were also
that restored
building
version.
community.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that we did that through you, and that like you were like, "Hey, I'm hosting a movie," because a lot of people don't realize, but you do that in your real life. You throw the projector up in the
Yep.
backyard, and you bring people over, and you do your barbecue, and you got your popcorn with your M&Ms in it and stuff. And
Well, that's the social thing of
See you,
movies.
Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
I think Eric's running.
What? Eric, I love you.
Yeah. Let me get the
I love
show
you.
Good night.
notes
Okay.
done
Yep.
real quick. Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk. Mark D with AC and I will count down our top 25 or bottom 25 all-time worst comic book movies. Hopefully, Tom within Midnight Tents will join us with a list of his own.
That'd be fun. Yep.
We'll see if he can make it. He's not sure yet, but he said he wants to. So we will see. Anyway. Mark, final closing things to say, and after number one, anything you needed to finish with first?
I just released a new story. It's called Paul, and after the colon, of course, is the fallow. I would really appreciate it if you, if folks would read it and rate it for me. I really appreciate your support. Publishers in Canada, they openly say that they don't want to buy science fiction, and they definitely don't want to buy science fiction short stories or science fiction short story collections. So and I've been doing some research on it, and as it turns out, it's really Americans that love episodic television, that love short stories and science fiction short stories. So I really count on my American friends, because there's really no interest otherwise. I mean, there was huge interest in the 1800s and up to the 1950s and 60s, when there was a huge magazine craze. So I really count on you folks, and I really appreciate your support. I love writing stories for you. I also wanted to say that, Eric, I would like to speak with you about maybe organizing a watch party for the Orville. Maybe we can do something for you. You mentioned like 3 or 4 times that you can't get Hulu,
And so I feel weird about that because of the fact that I've known you for like 2 years now, and you are there to produce all of our shows with us. So you've looked for things for me. You've tried to buy stuff for me so that to make the show easier. You're taking care of all these bots and weirdos all the time, and you help us. So let's do something behind the scenes so that you can watch the Orville, please. I love you. I can't believe you're here. Just supporting us, and you haven't even had a chance to watch it yet. So I want to do something for you. So you and Mark and I, we have to sit down and find a way to do something for you, okay? Because I love you and I appreciate you, and I definitely want you in on the conversation. And I want to say congratulations to Clobby. I love you with all my heart. I think it's amazing that you just walked up to me one day and said, "Hey, Chicky Poo, come hang out with me." And I was like, "Okay, baby, I'll come hang out with you." I love you.
Any of those words being said, but okay.
I love you, love you, love you. I think the world of you. And please follow my friend Mark. I'd like to thank everybody for their wonderful conversation this evening, for just creating this wonderful community with us. And I want to say thank you to all of the wrenches. You guys don't even get paid to do this. You just do this because you care about us and you want to keep the show clean so we can keep the conversation going, and we can have a symposium here. We can have adults talking without mayhem and BS. So I love you, wrenches. Thank you so much.
And what you do.
Eric, get a hold of me, honey.
Thank you all so much, Eric and Chris, and Jill, and all Max, and all you wonderful people.
Yep, great crowd. Yep.
Mark.
Yep. Oh, I had a quick video today. I put the link in. So here's the review of the little mini Enterprise ship. So you can go check out that video. Pretty cool little guy there. And also, you got that. And also, I did another quick video. It was a suggestion by Max Redstone, and this is just a 7-seconder. So if I can share my screen, let's see, share screen. I'm doing this in Firefox. Let's see, how do I allow the sound on this one? I'm going to try here, see if it works. Let's see, allow. Here we go. All right. So this is a 10-second gooder. If you, let's see. I don't know if hopefully you can hear it.
No.
Have had enough of you.
I should have looked. If I remembered, I would have put it on the. I know you just put it on the Google Drive thingy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but
I should have reminded me. I would have grabbed.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's all right.
I should adjust the color on the face for you so that it blends in. I could show you how to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
Saturday night.
Yeah, but I thought that would be a fun
visuals enough.
Fun. We don't want Wesley to look too good, right? Yeah, but that was fun to play with today for a few minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So.
And congratulations on.
Surely that.
Sorry.
That's all right.
But thanks.
We're having a great time here. Yep.
Don't forget Sunday night.
Yep, Sunday night. Oh, yep. Thank you. Yep, Sunday Night Geekery. Yeah, hopefully, I think you'll be there for that one. So we'll be talking probably a little bit more Orville, probably some Obi-Wan and Ms. Marvel. Wait, I'm dropping my. No one's going to show up now, but we always have a fun time. It always devolves into some kind of talk about food and toys and collectibles. And maybe I'll show how I did the Orville 3D printed the Orville. Yeah, we always end up talking about bacon if Dad Man's out there. Bacon. So, but a lot of fun, and appreciate everyone who subbed to the channel and watched. And again, congratulations to Mike for 2 years being on YouTube. Thanks. It's been a great ride, and here's to many more awesome show with you guys. And just really appreciate being here and getting the chance to hang out with you guys.
Well, thanks, dude, and thank you all so much for being here tonight. Now, I guess our goodbyes could take a while. I guess we'll just say goodbye to everyone in general because it's going to take for everybody. Everybody's ready to get done. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We'll shout you all out Saturday night, of course.
We will.
Appreciate you all. You've been fantastic. Thank you. We'll say a special thank you again to all those great mods. Eric K, the great Jill. Mm-hmm. wonderful children, and all of you. I mean, it would take forever to name you all again. I'd have to go all the way back, and I know you're probably all anxious to get moving. So, thank you so much. It's just what a great, fantastic community. I don't like to use that word much, but fellowship we made here.
Yeah.
And you're all part of it. You're all just extraordinary. And thank everyone who contributed. Everyone contributes no matter what, though. Just because you're here, you're contributing. And big shout out to all of you. And I want to say, everyone out there who listens later on a repeat, in other words, or download or whatever you want to call it, watching this on a rerun, whatever it is, I don't thank them enough. Thank you all. And I don't say this enough. Please, if you did enjoy it, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And then check out some of the other fine channels. I have links in my description below for all those great fine channels. And I want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight. And I will now play us out with these very important messages and then our end credits. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your night. And we'll see you back here Saturday night. I'll probably be on with Nick tomorrow night of the comic shop. And if I'm, take care. And by the way, everyone go to Jill's channel. She's got a channel. There's a link in my description below. She'll be on tomorrow, I think, probably talking stuff, hanging out in the middle of the day. If I'm home, I'll definitely try to listen when I'm out. If I'm out on the run, but if I'm home,
me too.
I'll visit. Yep. Love you, Jill.
Great show,
Thank
Jill.
you, everybody. Everyone have a great, great weekend. Clobber on, clobbers!
I protest. I am not a merry man.